West Coast Eagles, they win and they wrap up their second spot on the ladder. And St Kilda are ever improving. Alan Richardson has done a great job to get them off the bottom of the ladder and turn them into a very competitive outfit. The subs tonight, Sinclair the sub for St Kilda. Loney comes into the side. Farron Ray, of course, a West Australian here. This will not be foreign to him here. Also in the side for the Saints. So we take a look at the important lineup for the West Coast. They haven't really rested any players at all. Xavier Ellis, the ex-Hawthorn star, is the sub for this particular game. Butler, Marston and Wellingham, along with Nelson, all come into the selected side. Big Holmesy, of course, has been an inspiration to many over the last couple of weeks, especially those international recruits trying their hand at the AFL. And we are looking forward to seeing some of the stars in action tonight. Joey Montagna with us. We look forward to a big game. I've got no doubt that St Kilda in this game can be at least competitive up until half-time, and maybe even beyond that, who knows. It will be really interesting to see. Perfect conditions, a little bit of a wind, been raining earlier in the day. We've had absolutely no rain here this afternoon. And as you can see, the sun setting in the west there now, and this place is going to be absolutely chockers tonight. For a lot of these people that aren't members, it'll be the last time they get to see their team before they play finals. Hearn, of course, the skipper, as they prepare to come out for this game here. And the West Coast Eagles have had yet another great year, West Coast, recovering from 9th position on the ladder last year. And they have, well, they've only lost, 5.5 games for the entire year. So they've done an extraordinary job. Matthew Richardson, I welcome you to the commentary box, along with Das and Lingy's downstairs, and magnificent night for footy.
Oh, it is. These are the sort of days that you love to play football out here. Not a lot of wind. The Eagles really, their last 5 games, BT, they've only won two of those games and had a draw. So they'd like a really crisp tune-up tonight before the finals. But don't worry about the Saints. They've been really competitive. They can play good, fast footy. This track will suit them here tonight.
Well, here it come, the West Coast Eagles. Big warm welcome for them here tonight. Let's get down to Cameron Ling.
Well, Simo, you probably couldn't blame the players for looking forward a little bit to next week, but it's important they get the job done tonight. One for form, but also to lock away that second spot.
Look, we're a little bit different than the other teams in the top 4. This is new to us, so, you know, we let an opportunity slip last week and we're looking to atone this week.
Well, that's it. You're not resting any players. About continuity, about building that form for the first week of finals.
Oh, we've had an interrupted list, I suppose, all year, so we've been trying to get a list together all year, let alone rest them. So got a few players back tonight, which is really good, and we hopefully have a couple more next week.
And those ins tonight, they'll be big, especially early on in the game, just being able to keep St Kilda out of it, take away any of their confidence.
Oh, we'd anticipate they're going to come out pretty hard. They play with a lot of spirit. You know, Swans did them over last week, so I think it's going to be a pretty fierce start.
Appreciate your time, Simo. All the best tonight.
Adam Simpson, coach of West Coast. West Coast 5 losses against the top 8 sides this year. The only 2 top 8 sides they have beaten are Richmond and Sydney. What do we get tonight? The bounce of the ball on the other side of the break. Good conditions, perhaps a little bit of weather closing in later in the evening, but win tonight for the West Coast. They finish second on the ladder. And by the way, in each of their 4 previous seasons that they've finished in the top 2, that is 91, 94, 2005 and 2006, they have made the grand final. See the crowd here absolutely packed as the skippers come to the middle of the ground. Nick Grewal skippering the Saints, and of course Shannon Hearn.
All best. This is Gavin. All right, Nick, your call in the air, mate. Away you go. There's the tail. All right, all the best. Thanks, Gav.
Lingy, West Coast have decided not to rest players. They haven't gone down that track. They feel that, like Alistair Clarkson, continuity is important in their preparation.
Yeah, Adam Simpson, and just mentioning when I was chatting to him before, said that he loves the continuity, plus a few of his players haven't been in final series before, and just leading in that, he wants them playing, he wants them getting touch, he wants them getting their form in a good space, and their head in a good space leading into finals. I think that's what he feels is important for this group. You see Fremantle, on the other hand, they've been part of final series, they've been there and done it a lot of times, so that's why Ross Lyon probably feels that group can be rested a little bit to cut back on their travel and their wear and tear on their bodies. But this West Coast lineup, very settled, looking to continue that form that they have tonight if they do the job against St Kilda into next week, potentially with a showdown against the Hawks back here.
Late change for the Saints, if you haven't already heard. Minchington out, Jack Sinclair, Richo comes into the side and he is the sub.
Yes, he is, BT. On that whole matter of resting, plus I reckon a lot of players wouldn't want to have a rest this week. If you're in good form and you're in good touch, I reckon you want to stay that way.
And if you're not in good form, you need to get a touch.
Exactly. So, I mean, if you've got a sore body, yeah, it's probably nice to have a rest. But if you're in good form and feeling like you're in good nick, I reckon you want to keep playing. And I reckon if you ask the majority of players, they would say they would want to keep playing.
Jeff Dalglish, Chris Camelons and Ben Ryan, the three officiating umpires tonight in the light blue. Holmes and Nat Nui, perhaps the two most athletic jump ruckman in the competition. Watch them tonight. Should be an entertaining battle. Off hands Marston, back in the side for the West Coast. LaCroix was in amongst it. There's Weller. Through half back. Time to straighten and go. Bruce is one out here. Shepherd behind, caught. Ball hits the deck. Hearn was there. Bruce fighting on, done well again this year. Bruce, I think he's kicked about 48
goals, yeah. He had a big mismatch there too. Shepherd is only 186 and he's 197, and that's going to be fascinating watching those two jump in the centre of the ground. Huge leaps, both of them. I think they're top two recorded vertical leaps at the draft camp.
Yeah, really looking forward to watching Holmes and Natanui go at it today. And I just noticed Nick Natanui, that first set of bounce, stormed inside forward 50. And the big St Kilda ruckman from America, Jason Holmes, well, he just trailed him behind. So keep an eye on it. And there's a free kick. So the experience of Natanui on display there, just got front position and his big frame.
He's going to have to stay on his job once the ball hits the ground, Jason Holmes, because one thing Nat Nui does is he gets after the ball at ground level. He's a great ground level player for someone so tall.
See Matt Rosa there, though. Good hands. He wanted to get it moving with a little 1-2, and the Eagles, they just structure up so well. Shepherd's kick LaCroix, a good one-on-one player, and he took the one-handed mark, falling back against Dempster, who's a former All-Australian defender, and that is a great effort.
That is a great contested mark, and Sean Dempster, when the defender takes his eye off the football and starts searching for the forward, I reckon the forwards always feel like that touched the ground.
I reckon that wasn't a mark.
That probably shouldn't have been paid, but it was. That's going to be a great duel, but a forward would be pretty happy once the defender starts looking at him and not the footy and searching for body.
He's kicked 30-plus goals in 7 of the last 8 years, Mark LaCroix. He does this part of the game very well. And the West Coast Eagles kicked the first here at Domain Stadium.
Fourth time this year that he's kicked the opening goal of the game for West Coast.
Yeah, he's a reliable player in front of goal and just a really nice, straight goal-kicking technique, BT.
No fuss, gets the job done.
Yeah.
Will be a very important finals player for them. It's the battle of the leapers in the middle of the game. Gilbert off the back of the square. Prittis, who's had another outstanding year, He's one up on his average of 28 last year, 29 this year, and of course he's had 16 games with 28-plus possessions. He only had 12 last year and won the Brownlow.
Yeah, he's every chance to do it again. The amount of games the Eagles have won this year. Might have a few extra players taking votes off him, though, this year, I'd say.
We're also going to crown the Coleman medalist here tonight, I would suggest, with Kennedy 11 ahead.
Notice Nick Riewoldt is playing forward tonight inside 50. He's been on the wing the last few weeks, so I think the Saints think if they can get it in there, they've got some opportunities.
Kennedy would be the first Coleman medalist for West Coast since Scotty Cummings. Of course, Peter Sumich never got hold of a Coleman, as Gilbert, although he was an incredibly consistent performer year in, year out. Good job by Kennedy.
Big night for Jeremy McGovern. I think the Eagles want to just settle that back line now going in to the finals. Of course, they've had so many injury concerns. McGovern had a great year up until about 7 weeks ago, and he has had some hamstring issues since then. So to be looking to get a full game under his belt tonight and just get himself settled again moving into next week.
Third man up on that occasion, and that might happen a bit, was Jack Nunes, and it's worked okay because now Stephen puts it into the dangerous spot. Nick Rewalt from behind, shepherd his opponent. Mav Weller has been elevated into the leadership group, Mav Weller, and couldn't quite get it front and centre. Marston had his skills on display there to Dom Sheed, who's been a revelation this year for the West Coast Eagles, but only as far as Dempster, and this one's going to come back inside 50 for the Saints.
After Cripps and Hogan, I reckon Sheed's on that next line of rising stars. Das had a good year.
Gee, they apply good pressure, the Saints. Here goes Fisher. This will be a deep entry. Good one too, or a little too heavy for Rewalt. Not so good, in fact. McGovern, the man that Richo spoke of. Hearn, the skipper.
If you don't lower your eyes and hit targets, that's what McGovern will do. He will intercept Mark all night long.
Hutchings, Shepherd combine. Inside ball to Butler, back in the side for West Coast this week. Ball out in front of Gaff here. Fisher's going to stop the run, and Gaff got rid of it quickly. Kennedy slipped over at the crucial moment. Robert and his direct opponent tonight. Here's Jack Darling, kept it alive. Robert with a little pokey kick. Fisher head over the footy. Gaff closed in on him, applying some pressure. Well done West Coast to lock it in their forward end, and I think he's gone with the free. So this will be a direct set shot at goal for Gaff.
So let's have a look at that again.
So used his head to burrow, which you can't do, and didn't make an attempt, Richo.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough, that decision. We know that was the change in the interpretation earlier on this year.
One of, I think it is 7 players for West Coast that have played every game this year. Gaff. And here he is from the boundary line. He'll know this kick well. That's where they practice from when they're leaving the ground. West Coast with their second.
Average 116 points a game this season, the West Coast Eagles at home here in Perth, and 25 goals only a couple of weeks ago against the Bulldogs. And a nice start. They've got the first 2 here. Holmes athletically got over the top of his opponent there in Sinclair. Armitage gets involved, and by saying give it to me.
Jason Holmes could be in for a tough night. Last week, Mike Pike and Kurt Tippett double-teamed him. This time he's got Sinclair and Nick Nat. He's going to be on his bike all night, running very, very hard. Big challenge for the American, but what an experience for him again.
I think he's got the centre bounce stuff worked out, Holmes. The tough part is this, the body work. You can see Sinclair there. There's a real art to the timing of that. And you can tell that the Saints are going to try and go third man up and the ball ups and help him out. Here's Jimmy Webster under some pressure there from Josh Hill. Montagna, some experienced heads combined here. Fisher to Dempster. And feeling the Saints are just wanting to hold on to the footy for a little while here.
Yeah, they do like to switch the ball, the Saints, and try and, spread the defence of the opposition. I think this ground here, it's a little bit harder to do. It's a narrow ground.
Trouble is, West Coast are just about the best in the business at setting up a forward press. They turn it over regularly. It's in good hands here. Sheed's left foot kick a little too tall on that occasion for Darling. Lacroix, he's dangerous. Darling's going to get it back to Lacroix. There's their third goal. They've kicked the first 3, the West Coast Eagles.
Efficiency at its best here for West Coast. 4 entries, 3 goals. 2 of them to this man, Mark Lacroix.
Yeah, second best attack in the comp. 6 players with over 20 goals. You get one-on-one opportunities because the defence just has to be honest.
Oh, look at that for ruck work. Deft little tap there by Nat Nui to Shuey.
BT, we just mentioned the fact that it'll be hard for Holmes. Well, that's Josh Bruce is the backup ruckman. Yeah. He's going to have his hands full going up against Nick Nat.
Not sure Big Brucey's going to get it done in there against Nick Nat, but was Hickey out injured or omitted? Because I noticed he went out of the side, so yeah, as you say, less the ruckman.
Omitted.
Yeah. Gus, what do you do in that situation where you know you can't get over the top of him with his lead?
You want to try and give him something different. If I was Bruce, and he's not experienced enough, but you'd jump early once. You'd see if you could try and clean Natanui up before he got off the ground. You'd change the angle, see if you could cut him off. I'd be prepared to give away 2 free kicks just to give him something different to think about, because otherwise he's just so dominant. And you want to use BT to go with? His ruck craft. Now, Sandilands at nearly 7 feet tall has had a massive advantage, but the craft and the skill with which he gets it to his midfielders is as good as I've seen in the last 20 years.
Yeah, he does it with regularity and ease. Savage in there. Here he is. Left foot flyer. Needs a good bounce, and he's got it. 4 goals. 9 minutes of footy, 5 entries.
He stays involved, Das, doesn't he? After the initial ruck contest, you just got to be on your game around that, Nui.
His follow-up work is equally as good as you've ever seen. It's amazing. There you go. That was just really smart. Holmes did jump early, and his awareness then to not jump into a knee that he didn't need to is, again, you can't teach that. That's just a natural gift that he's got.
So Nat Nui's got the biggest leap ever recorded, but Holmes came in number 2, didn't he?
I believe he did at the draft camp. Nat Nui, standing vertical leap of over 100 centimetres, which is just extraordinary. And Holmes, 97 centimetres. You can see Sinclair now coming in, and Nat's just pushed himself forward. They are under siege here, the Saints, at the moment. Their final game for the year. And there's no mercy so far from the West Coast.
And it's seen that Nui forward there on young Hugh Goddard, but it's Sam Gilbert who's trying to go third man up every time for St Kilda now, just to give him a chop out.
Saints have slipped a man behind the ball. Farron Ray has pushed back from the wing to loose man in defence. So Alan Richardson, he just wants to stop the bleeding momentarily. Joey Montagna getting in there hard and low. And
They haven't done a lot wrong, Saints. Their pressure's been okay.
If you have
A couple of skill errors.
You have a look behind the ball here at the Saints forward line at the moment. It's going to be hard. The Eagles have got a great setup with a loose player.
There's Prentice. Mungle inside 50. Darling kept it alive. Look at Nat Nui holding off 2 there. Savage comes in, pursued by Cripps. And he's been in some good form too. Shane Savage last week played well. Saw that game at Etihad Stadium. This is the other end that Richo speaks of.
Yeah, and this is what they've done so well this year, the West Coast Eagles. They're set up behind the football and ability to win it back. It's been so hard for the opposition to get through.
And once they get it inside 50, you don't get it out with ease. So you can see the Saints now trying to get it through by hand. But look at the pressure. Armitage under all sorts, and they get it out, but still in the forward half. And they're showing some intensity early. That was Jackson Nelson getting involved there.
Yeah,
Small defender back in the team.
6 entries to 2, and the ball was just living in the Eagles' forward half at the moment.
Gilbert tried to smash it out of their third man up. Stephen. Another great year, Jack Stephen. He won the best and fairest 2013. He'll go close again this year. Shepherd. Wellingham. Now they get some overlap run, although that handball, well done. Chopped off by Mav Weller, played it beautifully, and out the back Montagna. This is what the Saints need. If it sits, Lee Montagna's good enough. It runs on, he's got time to go back. Oh, he ran into the man. He didn't see McGovern. He just didn't see him, Joey. He's got a smile on his face, but he knew the one was there. He didn't see the second man, and McGovern nailed him.
James, that was a certain goal gone begging. He stiffed there, Joey Montagna. The ball just didn't bounce up for him. It ran away from him and gave the Eagles time.
I think he actually said that to McGovern. I just didn't see her while lying on the ground. Great tackle. McGovern lined him up. Got to love that when they fall into your lap like that. Almost a throw from Prentice. Now here's Shuey. Gaff combining off half-back. Darkness starting to fall over Subi. Farron Ray, the West Australian-born former Dog, and now Saint. High ball inside 50. Getting back, no mark paid. Rewald able to rip it away. Stewie went really hard at it. Robertson, though, really hard. Boy, caught one in the face there. And Matt Rosa, I think it was, underneath all of that.
They don't
Moon's giving away the free.
They don't actually play on anyone, the Eagles defenders. They're just guarding that space. If you kick high, long balls in, it's not going to work for you.
Look at that classy left foot from Shee. That is undefendable. But I thought the mark was taken to Kennedy. No, it's play on, and Nelson wobbles one inside forward 50 to Lecra. Natanui, snap on goal. That's their first blemish. Probably one that Nick Nat back himself into. Have a look at Lee Montagna. He knew the first man was there, and he thought, I'm home and hosed. And then McGovern nailed him.
So all working for the West Coast here at the moment. Robertson. Really wide. Finds Murdoch. Brody. Chiseled inside. Good position here for Gilbert to attack. Had Noons on right in the middle if he wanted. Ball perhaps would have hung in the air too long for him. Now forced to kick a wild boy. Loney was there to accept. Now Loney on the left boot. Ball a little bit short for Rewalt again. Hearn and Bruce out the back door. Shepherd been involved a lot already here in this game. Little one for Nelson. His kick has been intercepted here by the Saints. And Dunstan. So Dunstan directly in front, too far for him to score. Gives the handball off to the run here of Murdoch. Long left footer. He's a good kick.
Guys, we've got breaking news from the SCG after that straight away on there. That would be a big blow to Sydney's premiership chances.
And as you say, on top of Parker, and that ice was on the medial side of the knee.
Had some big injuries today in round 23. Stuart Cranberry's got to be under an injury crowd for the Bulldogs. Isaac Smith we saw for the Hawks. Looks as though he's done a pretty serious knee injury as well. And now Kieran Jack. So nice settling goal for the Saints. They desperately needed it. Gilbert to Nunes and now Savage. He wanted Bruce to come at him and was chopped off by this well-organised Eagles defence, and so capable at slingshotting back the other way. Hutchings, Campbell chopped off. But well done there, the Saints defenders.
So when you see injuries like that occur in this final round, you can see why some coaches do think, gee, I wouldn't mind resting a few of your stars if you know that your ladder position's safe and can't change.
And of course, that's on top of Cranberry early today for the Western Bulldogs as well with a knee issue. So here's Webster funneling the handball out. So I thought St Kilda's pressure had improved this year, but seeing the West Coast here tonight, they are just absolutely outstanding. Alan Richardson this year has done a great job with the Saints. He's only had one bad loss for the year. They've increased their wins, 3 close losses and a draw. They've debuted plenty of players, and most of all, I think the players believe, and he's won their confidence, and they're off the bottom of the ladder, and they're in a position next year to build on a challenge for a low 8 position. So he's done a really good job, and he's getting the players to follow.
It's fast-tracked the development, I reckon.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we all feel like the Saints are in good shape. Yeah. It's a good young talented list, good coach.
Guys, separation, please.
Great to see them push back up the ladder. They want to finish 2015 off in good shape. Montagna, good tackle applied on him by Prittis. Farron Ray had a little fresh area in there, went back and won his own footy. Spills out to Seb Ross. Joey went back, picked up his own footy, but look at the relentless pressure the West Coast Eagles are applying. And they get great support here at home.
So, just see here, this stoppages here, the Eagles backmen, they all set up, they're actually not actually playing on a player, they're just guarding space, and any quick long high ball that comes out of these stoppages, they're just going to mop up every time.
Yeah, they're a well-coached team as well, the West Coast. Adam Simpson, he has had an outstanding year as well. Yo, Prittis, slick hands, Hutchins, and advantage has been called. Marston lines it up from 50, just pushed it across the face of goal.
Chris Marston, 138th game. Only kicked the 2 goals this year, so he would have liked to have been on the end of that one.
He'd be feeling pretty fresh, wouldn't he? A couple of weeks off, enforced, but he'd be feeling good physically for the finals.
Jaron Geary.
Although he probably got smashed in training.
You can already notice that St Kilda have fixed up one issue from last week. Talk about that in a moment as West Coast go forward. But last week they had Robertson as the last man in defence when the ball was down the field, and he often became the kicker and wasn't making a lot of his kicks. This week they have got other players in that position, and it's Savage that seems to be taking the responsibility of being the designated quarterback or kicker, if you like. Rosa, Prittis, and Robertson is playing further down the field. Here's Sinclair. Little handball off to Gaff. Very, very patient, Das, West Coast.
They're so well organised. Richo's been pointing out how well their defence sets up. They play the zone as well as we've seen. At the other end, their forward press is almost impenetrable.
Well, they've been doing it all year, Das, and a lot of media commentators have talked about it and pointed it out on various football shows, but they're still being able to do it, so it's not something that's easy to get around.
As he pointed out, it's not through lack of effort here. The Saints are actually creating some opportunities. Armitage got through a tackle, and now Robertson pushed up, handball back to Armitage, picked himself up. Now here is the defence, the West Coast Eagles. McGovern back there. In comes Sam Butler. He's the last remaining premiership player from 2006, and now they're away. The big ruckman is going to get it to Priddis.
Yeah, Priddis over the top, back to the man you called. Now Priddis again. So they just take the foot off the pedal when they don't see something they like. Little ball out wide is excellent from Nelson. Now they can go with some oomph. Ball into the Cra. He can mark, he can run and play on if he wants. He elects to take the set shot. The umpire said he didn't run off the mark. And LeCras kicking for goal number 3.
Looked like he took a couple of steps there, Brian, when he first marked it.
Maybe forward though, not forward of the mark. So perhaps the benefit of the doubt. But they just love this pocket. This is where their rooms are just in this pocket.
Yeah.
Every time they leave the oval, the last couple of kicks are, you know, in this pocket.
You'd nearly put your house on Mark LeCras from here. Always a risky statement, but...
Yep.
Yeah. Thanks, Mark. I'll send over the contract.
So 5 minutes remaining. West Coast controlling it. I don't think West Coast have stopped the bleeding just yet. Sorry, St Kilda have stopped the bleeding.
No, there's a good look at what Shane Savage, former Hawk, has got in front of him. It was an emergency in the 2013 Hawthorn Grand Final, and because of how well they set up, you go for kicks and up, maybe on, and Brad Shepherd's going to send it back inside 50. Kennedy got worked underneath the footy by Fisher. Oh, he came in, he took Montana's head off there with a coat hanger, accidental. Joey's just put hand to face, and Josh Kennedy turns around and just has a look at the damage that he created. Let's have a look at this one. Got a bit of the footy, got a fair piece of Montana's head as well. He's back in amongst it, Joey. Hutchins is a hard at it, in and under type of player. Marston to Gaff, who's had an incredible year. Shepherd, he's got a one-step opportunity from 50. Got pretty good connection, not the accuracy. And that is the 4th behind for the West Coast Eagles.
They are just Lingy. They're so good with their handball. There's always someone in a better position, isn't there, West Coast?
Yeah, and they're just prepared to give it too. They back themselves to give it to somebody, and then they trust that that person will then make the right decision. He may need to give it again. Eventually they get somebody free, and then they're out and they can have a shot at goal. St Kilda, when they get to quarter time, they've just got to talk about that and make sure that they don't get 3 blokes running to one player. They maybe got to just step off a little bit and pick off the receivers as well, so West Coast can't move the footy like they have been.
Saw Danny Sexton in the box there with Alan Richardson, apparently the senior assistant coach down there, doing great things along with many others. Adam Kingsley is another one down at St Kilda that they think is going to be coach material if he's not already. But certainly Sexton and Kingsley, amongst others, down there doing good things. Here's Gilbert. Bit of a fluffed up, sort of mad looking out of the mountains look with the hairdo tonight.
It's going to take a contested mark for the Saints to get through and get a shot on goal.
Not going to get that out of there because Bruce was completely outmanoeuvred. Here's Loney. Thought about Weller, went back to Bruce, clobbered. Was he taken forward? Umpire Jeff Dalglish said yes, he was. Hearn has a look at the big screen. And Bruce will have a look at the big sticks.
So that's what it's taken to get a shot on goal, because they're set up that well, the Eagles. It's going to be really hard to take marks down there at the moment. Had a great year, Josh Bruce.
Yep, 48 goals. I think they've had a 50-goal kicker for the last 13 years straight, St Kilda, mainly on the back of Nick Rewalt.
The G-Train, Fraser Gehrig.
Fraser Gehrig as well. Here he is, Bruce.
Milne.
Kick on the way. Good-looking ball. Nice goal. So they've milked a couple here, the Saints, and they've done well.
So that's a couple of goals in a row for the Saints. Even better from their point of view. It's been 15 minutes since the West Coast scored their last goal, so they really have clawed their way back into this contest. Really enjoying watching the two athletes here head-to-head. Natanui Shades again, but the Saints through Stephen. Get one inside 50. Nick Rewalt sets himself. Always gives a contest. Stephen follows up his own work and then got past the tackler. Played it pretty well. Loney's a clever player, and he's drawn a high tackle free kick against Wellingham. So this would be enormous if they could get 3 in a row here. Loney. Rewalt gives a short option. Gilbert in there as well. Now Rewalt ducks back into the centre position. Yo's got a great leap, and Prittis just forever winning the ball, and they spread and run. Marston's handball not great, so good pressure from the Saints. Done really well here. Geary. Handball was maybe not a great option in the end. Hugh Goddard under some pressure. Hill, again, they get caught by Marston, was wrapped up in a good tackle. So the Saints have really found a competitive edge in this. Nunes gets involved as well, and I think Alan Richardson will come down at quarter time and be pretty proud about the way his side has fought back.
They've definitely stopped the bleeding now. They're back in the hunt here, Richo.
Yeah, they have.
Their pressure is so good. They are on ball. This is round 23, and they're not playing finals, and they're supplying pressure like this. It's great for the future, because they are playing an absolute gun team here tonight on their home track.
You want to go off the ground tonight knowing that you're not playing finals, but put in a decent display. It just leaves a bad taste in your mouth for the whole summer if you finish off the year with a poor result in your last game.
See Fisher ignoring Robertson early, eventually went to him, and that's the kick that Robertson didn't make last week. Thank goodness he made it then. It's Dunstan inside. Fisher again can go short to Loney, went outside instead. Rewalt. So a minute to go in the quarter here. Patience as they build forward now with Weller. West Coast defending here at the moment. Back inside. Ball looking for Rewalt. Thought it was off hands. Goes deep, over the top. Armitage almost marked it on the chest. Holmes is there. Sinclair with a little bit of a fumble. Fills to Holmes. His first ever goal was on off, and he just failed to get it on the boot.
I reckon his eyes lit up, BT. Fell into his arms on the top of the screen. It was good pressure. That's the reason he got the shot on goal, was he was involved in some really good team pressure there.
Maybe got a good look at what sides are going to try and do to West Coast. There was some precision kicking, a little bit of patience, but they took on the corridor by foot then, the Saints, and they were able to get through that press. Richo, and we'll hear only a few weeks back when we saw the Hawks beat the West Coast at home, and we know how good a kicking team the Hawks are. It'll take a fair bit of skill and a fair bit of effort. Nav Weller started with some good intensity.
Just right, man.
Have a look at this. Was this deliberate? Did he take it through without? No, there's pressure there. The pressure was within hand's length, or arm's length.
I think that rule's nearly just about gone, isn't it? I think we're going to see a deliberate rush behind again. And out of bounds in front of Sheed. 15 seconds remaining in the first quarter. It looked like it was going to be 150 points there at one stage, but the Saints have done well.
Yeah, they've done really well. The last 10 minutes of this quarter, right in the game now, across the whole field. It looked really, really dangerous early. The Eagles were going to really run away with it, but the Saints have fought back well.
Ruckman beginning. Holmes letting his Ruckman get behind him and lose him. Here's Montagna. Got time for a quick one here, and Mark will do it. But Hearn gets in the way magnificently. So a withering burst early from the West Coast and stop the bleeding, the Saints. It's a 15-point ball game in favour of West Coast here at quarter time. Coach as well. Scores here at quarter time. It is West Coast by 15 points over St Kilda. Lingy.
Well, a dominant to start there by the West Coast Eagles. Efficient early, but credit to St Kilda. They were able to reduce that efficiency, got West Coast kicking efficiency down to 56%, kept them to only 13 marks for that quarter. They normally average 23 marks in a quarter, so well done by St Kilda. They were able to adjust what they were doing within that quarter then. They're going to have to keep it up, though, because if West Coast start the quarter again like they started the game, they are just so dangerous in front of goal.
Fascinating, isn't it, the amount of work they put in behind the scenes during the week to just look at all the different scenarios that may happen in a game of AFL footy.
So Matt Nui with the knock to Armitage, the Shark. We'll do it again in the middle here. Really good night for footy. There's the subs, Ellis and Sinclair. Sinclair are late in for St Kilda. Weller. Saints to the left of screen. Jack Stephen. Looking for the give and go. Montagna turn inside. Had to get rid of it quickly. Well done. It ends in the hand of Jack Stephen in the end. Goes on the left. Nat Nui. Brilliant mid-air smother. Great recovery. Acceleration expressive as well. Now the run of Josh Hill. Long ball inside 50. This is good play from the Eagles. Jack Darling now. Got to beat a couple. Will the tackle stick from Goddard? It does. The former Geelong Falcon. Little handball back to Darling. And he gets it bending the wrong way.
How good was Nat Nui in the middle of the ground there? His acceleration and burst to smother Das, and then the follow-up acceleration. Then he laid a block on, which allowed his teammate to find more space and get the ball inside 50. Great piece of play.
I think it's underrated, the defensive effort that Nick Natanui puts on and the perceived pressure when he's around with his speed. West Coast fans didn't think that was 15, and they're letting umpire know, and Sam Gilbert, who's again trying to fight his way through this brilliant zone, and you have to be good by a foot. That's a beautiful kick to Nick Revolt. When they have got through, it's been on the back of some good kicking. They transfer it now to Robert, and it's going to cut back through the corridor. So done pretty well here. It's a link up. Now the bounce for Bruce. Can he keep it in? He's done pretty well. Stephen's going to get past the tackler, so well done. He got through the skipper Hearn, and now this one waited and taken by Armitage, who plays on, bends it around, and nearly the perfect play from the Saints.
That was the first time tonight, I reckon, where they've got that switch out of defence and they weren't held up. They were able to then bring it down this side of the ground and have a shot on goal.
Well, here's the counter-attack. That one ended up hitting the post in the end. Darling tried to take him on there. Dangerous to do. Robertson clinging to him. Gave away the free in the end, but held him up and gave the Saints time to defend. Darling on the wing. Little one down the line to Gaff.
He's on his way to high 30s or 40 tonight, Andrew Gaff. Up to 13 disposals now.
Yep, leading disposal getter on the ground, Gaff. High ball, Kennedy launches, both hands on it. Couldn't reel it in, off hands, Hutchings. Got rid of it, little one here. Shuey, right foot snap, misses the lot.
So was that maybe incorrect disposal? It was pretty good tackle. Dunstan laid on Hutchings, umpire.
I reckon he was tackled and it fell out of his hands. Technically, could have been paid holding the ball.
Dempster to bring it back in, an All-Australian defender in 2002. Sean Dempster, former Swan. Yo pushed off it by Gilbert. Now the big boy from Chicago in the United States, Jason Holmes, got down, and then Gilbert pretty happy with the boundary thrown.
He's getting his hands on it a little bit more tonight around the ground, Holmes.
That'll be the next step for him. The ability to just try and win 15 or many possessions in a game. Follow up. Look at Natanui's experience and skill on display. Prentice, it opens up for Marston, and they're just a bit inaccurate tonight, the West Coast.
Gee, they combine well, don't they? Natanui and Prentice. That's as clean a clearance as you'll see. And Sharif Wellingham, little issue with his foot there.
They were 4 straight at one stage, West Coast. Now 4 goals 6. They kicked 4 goals in the opening 10 minutes and haven't kicked one in the last 25 minutes. So they've just stopped scoring. Whether that's St Kilda have been able to regain their defensive composure. And it now looks very much like the West Coast defence that St Kilda are applying here. Shepherd knocking it back inside the zone. Noons to Webster. Webster's kick needs to be good. And it was in the end of Murdoch. So Murdoch at half-back loads up with that lethal left boot. Geary's got to go, and he does. He'll get it out to Montagna. Montagna approached by Hill back inside. Ross just in the nick of time. He thought about Holmes there for a moment. He said, no, I'm not sure whether you're capable yet of being able to get that one. So through came Dempster. Gave it to Geary, now to Ross. Ross delivers. They look to go forward here. Loney slicing left boot to centre half forward and landing in the arms of Murdoch. Trying to wind up on the left here, had to go wide to Dempster.
So they've been patient here in this build-up. The Saints now. Dempster says that's enough. I'm going to put it long. Big Holmes is down there, threw his fingers out the back. The Saints have got numbers. Bruce kicked 49 goals for the year. Wellingham just diced with a bit of danger there for a minute. Good pressure from the Saints. Robertson comes up. Crashing through was Rosa. Still under pressure. And off hands. They've had a really nice period here again, the Saints.
Look at those jukes that got in there, Richo.
Yeah, it was good to see him push forward and nearly took a contested mark deep, but it was, again, it was a switch, a long switch out of their defence that gave them this opportunity to attack.
Nat Nui in the mix here, Noons. Deloney on his favoured left side, gives it every bit of a chance, and trying the backhand was McGovern. Now Gaff's got it all to do. Great awareness while being tackled. What a nice spin that was from Rosa. Kennedy's come right up the ground and infringed against Dempster here. Advantage paid. Fisher to Rewalt, and Rewalt marks. So Nick Rewalt playing game 298 this week. Overtakes Lenny Hayes on St Kilda's list of games played and trails only Harvey, Burke, Lowe and Breen. 4 famous names at the Saints.
Well, he's going to go well past that, isn't he, next year? He'll play a couple more years, I think, Nick, so he's going to get well into the 300s.
He'll take his best from here. Coming back a little, almost snuck it in with a little bit of left to right finish.
He's got his pre-season stamp. He doesn't do a lot of running up until Christmas time and really ramps it up after then. Naturally got a huge fitness space.
What does he do pre-Christmas, Richo?
He goes to Texas.
Right.
He goes over there and spends time with his family.
His body looks as good as we've seen it for a while, Nick Rewalt. Let's just hope he has 2 or 3 more years and enjoys a bit of this renaissance from the Saints, and they're playing great footy at the moment. Robertson comes through and Bruce slides in. It was just a millimetre away from being perfect. Holmes and Natanui. Oh, good follow-up tackle from the big ruckman. Out to Seb Ross. He's got time to go back to Weller. Now Joe Montagna. He sold Farron Ray into some Prittis pressure, and Prittis, you don't get past him. Turnover for the Eagles. Sheed. Kennedy's been really quiet. They've had him covered tonight, and again Dempster did really well.
Hasn't taken a mark yet, Josh Kennedy, the Coleman medalist.
Just the one handball he's had so far in this match, Josh Kennedy. So doing that pretty well so far, the Saints.
Big fella Sinclair in front there. Free kick will go against Holmes and 2 Cripps. Yes, Jack Stevens been pinged for abuse here, I think, too.
Running through the mark, BT.
Oh, was it?
Pretty unlucky. As Cripps was backing back, he was running across, trying to get behind him, but the timing just a little bit off and went through the mark. Just ends up giving away the 50.
It's a stiff penalty, isn't it, 50 metres for sometimes pretty minor indiscretions results in big turning points in games.
31 goals from his 21 games this year, Cripps. Really good return. This one will be launched from just inside 50. It's ugly, but it's there. Hit the post. It was a slicer.
Oh, yeah.
Have a look at this guy now. He's the interchange steward for the West Coast. He's decided to take a chair on the actual oval as against the other one. For Saints, you can't even see him. He really is front and centre.
He doesn't want to make it blue, Brian.
Well, he's really getting a close-up view.
So this is Jimmy Webster. Got a 1-2 working with Fisher. Kick was pretty well weighted out there for Geary, but Yo's and another West Coast Eagle who's had a great year, Richo.
See, that 50 metre now has given the Eagles the opportunity to lock it in their forward line. The Saints had good opportunity in their forward line, and that 50 metres just swings the whole thing around. BT notices some weird things.
I have got one more ripper for you tonight. It's a world first in footy. I won't mention it just yet.
I'll be the
but it
judge.
concerns the umpires. You'll be absolutely stunned when I
can't call your own stuff ripper work unless...
Well, tell you what, that's a fair build-up to something.
He's telling us he's got a ripper before we'll judge whether it's a ripper.
Any indication of when you might drop it, Bristle? Or
shortly.
Okay.
Oh, he can't hold on to it now.
Okay. Yeah.
Right up and about Savage. To take some risks here, the Saints, with some heavy pressure. Stephen now athletically picked it up to Farron Ray. He's got some runners alongside of him. One of them is Montagna. Webster. Oh, can he get past? He did really well there when they've sliced them open here, the Saints. Inside 50, Armitage committed his body. The Eagles get back en masse and they have been really good here, St Kilda. They just would love another goal or two to reflect how well they've played since about the 15-minute mark of the first quarter.
We'll see that umpire there. That is Chris Camlin's. It's not the one we're after, but that one there is Jeff Dalgleish. Now picture him, number 7. He's a field umpire. The guy throwing the ball in now is his brother. Never before have two brothers umpired in a game of football together. That is a world first in our game.
Well, it's
Jeff Dalgleish and his brother Brett. I hope this is him on the boundary.
It's an Australian
Yes, it
name,
is.
so it's probably just an Australian first.
No,
It's probably not a world first.
Well, they're brothers, and that's never happened before. Go on, say well done.
Oh, that was a ripper.
Oh, no.
Oh, gee.
Had you brought that one to the table?
I feel like I'm a bit sort of...
I don't know if I can go on. I don't think I can continue. I'm that excited about that stuff.
The Dalgleish brothers, wow.
Wow, boy. Loney, gee, thought I might have got a little bit more. From 55 metres out.
I'm actually disappointed.
High ball, plenty of big men there. Gilbert, Sinclair's in amongst it, little handball out, almost a throw. Butler caught in a tackle from Bruce. It was a beauty. Dunstan's in and under here. And a ball up, 20 metres out.
Tell you what, at the 10-minute mark of the first quarter, West Coast kicked their 4th goal. I thought we were just going to sit back and watch a smashing here tonight. Credit to the Saints. A neat reward for effort here, though, Richo. Oh, was that correct disposal? Play on to the call. Saints have still got it deep inside 50. Good tackle applied by Farron Ray. They get it back again. Montagna steps up to the plate. He's got a fair piece of it to the goal square. Armitage off hands. Pushing the back. West Coast free kick.
They're dominating possession, St Kilda. They've had 65 possessions to 28 so far this quarter, but they've actually been outscored, so they just haven't been able to hurt the Eagles with that possession rate.
So now the Eagles try and create a bit of a build-up here all the way from deep in defence. Shuey's run was good, but again, tackle pressure okay for the Saints, but clever handball from Prentice to Hearn. That one bounced beautifully for Shuey. Look at the leg speed, and he took on a bounce that wasn't there, and it's been turned over again.
It is, and this time St Kilda, the beneficiary. Armitage inside, slipping over Noons, got her on the left. They attack it really hard. I think that's Shepherd running off the back. Now Sinclair involved. Shepherd saw the boundary line out wide, but have a look at this. A trio of Saints there, ready to mop it up. Dempster to the best looking man playing football, Weller apparently. High footy inside they go. Bruce was very, very courageous. Wellingham sees it over the boundary line, and this whole game has changed. Lingy, what have St Kilda implemented to change the whole look of this game?
Well, they've got physical, that's for starters, and they've pressured West Coast as well as they can. Look at those marks, only 17 marks for the game, but West Coast 3 this quarter. Their pressure has been outstanding. No reward yet for all that hard work on the scoreboard, and of course we know that's the most important stat of them all. So they need to get reward for their hard work, but gee, they're doing a good job of it at the moment. West Coast just have to battle through this little patch. St Kilda have the momentum.
Yeah, and they've got the field position as well here. They've had it in their forward half for a couple of minutes here, and another ball up.
They're on target at the moment, Das. The rate that they're going to have 100 tackles, as we see Chris Maston on the bench there. Lingy, did you see what happened when he came off?
Just checking it right now, keeping an eye on exactly what you guys just saw. Doc's checking him out. Give me a minute or so, and I will give you as good an update as I can, Richo.
Good work, Lingy, all over it down there. We'll find out with Chris Marston. It's around 23 curse in it. We've already seen tonight, Kieran Jack, who just joined us, he has got a serious knee injury in the game happening at the SCG tonight. Stewie Cranberry, we think he's got a knee problem. And Isaac Smith, serious knee injury for the Hawks. So there's nervous times for the teams playing in the finals. The Eagles, maybe that's what's happening a bit here as well, a bit of self-preservation. Again, the Saints meet it head on. Fisher's done really well, but Nick Nat finds a way through, does he?
He does. A little fumble there by Lacroix. Pressure coming from both ways. Intriguing game. Someone gets out of the loop here. Picked up by Yo. Got it into Hill. Hill can give it to Cripps. Cripps can go all the way. And finally the Eagles get one. First goal of the quarter. Coming some 12 minutes in. Really good contest. Nat Nui just forcing his way through there. Bit of a fumble. Eventually they got on top of it. Lingy, Marston, I see the green vest looks like it's coming off Xavier Ellis.
Yeah, a bit of movement on the bench there. Xavier Ellis taking the vest off. It could be Chris Marston getting his left knee checked out. He's had a few issues with that knee over the last few weeks. Doc's obviously not that happy about it, though the sub hasn't been made just yet.
Here come the West Coast Eagles again, and he's an impressive player, Callum Sinclair. It's a good mark.
And, sorry, does, and now obviously it has. Right as I said it hadn't been made, it has. Chris Marston out of the game.
Yeah, thanks, Lee. So Xavier Ellis, the sub, will come on. Marston with his knee iced up. So they'll be nervous about that, Marston. He's definitely in their best 18. So's this man now, Callum Sinclair. He came into the side for Scott Lysett, the other ruckman in round 5, and he has been a regular since, scored 12 goals in his past 16 games. He's a capable forward. He's a great backup for Nick Natanui. And he generally does this part of the game pretty well as well. Nice, balanced routine. It's a couple in a row. He just sneaks it home, Sinclair. And it's the West Coast Eagles out to a margin of 28 points.
Good finish here by the big fella. Ruckman can sometimes be a little bit iffy in front of goal. Chris Marston has had a couple of issues with his left knee, but we reckon this one might be a new injury, potentially to his right, either hamstring or the back of his right knee as well. So a couple of injury concerns for Chris Marston at the moment.
28-point margin here all of a sudden with West Coast. And this is a certain goal here as Bruce turned around and spun it through and enjoyed it as well. Just check.
Hit the post, I think.
Score review. Umpire's call is it's hit the post one behind. Please check.
Okay, well, we should be able to work this out from
underway.
here. Bruce looked a little anxious, I might add. Hard to tell from that.
Oh, seeing it live, I'm not sure that replay does justice, but it definitely ricocheted off the post. You can just see it there. Hits the post on impact and goes right. So the goal umpire is in the box seat and he has called it correctly.
Yeah, there it is. Good shot, that one. Clear deflection and change of spin on the ball. So this will be ruled a definite behind here.
Review complete. Score is a behind. It's hit the goal post.
So well done, score review. Well done, goal umpire. Quickly back into play here, the Eagles to Wellingham. This ground will be replaced in 2018 with a new 60,000 seat stadium over at Burswood, under construction, and former AFL player and waffle player Ron Alexander in charge of that for the government over here.
He coached the Eagles too, Ron Alexander.
Yes. Yep.
I think he was there. Was he there first? No, John Todd.
I think he was there second. He was a great fella he is, Ronnie Alexander. Played with Fitzroy.
He was there first, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. Then John Todd second, I think.
So what have we got? 7 minutes remaining in the first half, and plenty of time. Let's get an update down there from Lee. What can you tell us?
There it is, the ice clearly on the right, back of the knee, high or low on the hamstring, should I say. As I said, he's had a couple of issues with the left knee over the last month or so, but obviously he's right as well. Xavier Ellis into the game. The man who's been red-vested more times than any ever in AFL. 11 times he's been red-vested. He obviously won't be red-vested tonight. Started in the green, but certainly loves playing that sub role, Xavier Ellis. Or maybe he doesn't love it. Maybe the coach just loves him playing it.
You just wonder if those few weeks off affected the intensity that he hasn't played the last few weeks. You come back out and he gets a hamstring.
That'll be a record that Xavier Ellis will get to keep, Lee, with the abolition of the sub rule for next year. Letting everyone in the game is excited about that news throughout the week. Cripps goes short, and he finds Sam Butler. So one of Eagles deep inside 50 who want it long, and Darling, he left it for his teammate out the back sheet, and the St Kilda defenders combined pretty nicely. Saved the day.
Yeah, I think that was Armitage with the spoil there. It was a good one. So a slight twang there for Chris Marsden. That means
That's shattering.
that's 2 to 3 weeks. That's his year could be over depending on the severity of that.
How shattering. You play the whole year, you have a good year, and the last game you do a hammy.
Any hamstrings 2, most are 3, Richo, which puts him into grand final territory to bring him back in. So
Well, let's hope it's not that bad.
let's hope it's more proportionary. There's McGovern off half back. Beautiful pick up off his toes. Now to Wellingham, who's been excellent since joining West Coast. Overran at Gaff and The Saints can go here and get it, and they do. Jack Stevens says, someone go to the middle. Rewalt protecting the back of his teammate there.
Gee, I just think they got too close then, Bruce and Nick Rewalt. They should have been able to separate and get a mark inside 50, and you got a feel for Chris there. Hopefully it's a precaution and it comes up okay when he has a scan.
I think Nick Rewalt and Spruce were disappointed that last entry. They're in good position. Armitage tries to butter up again. The kick was smothered. He gets back in and under.
I just think they ended up in pretty much the same spot, Dar. So they had their time again. I reckon they would have separated a little bit more.
He's a devastated man at the moment. He's talking it through the medical staff from the West Coast. Going through every bit of detail there. Loney, opportunity. Gaff met him front on. No free kick. Pritis always find him at the bottom of the pack, winning the footy. Wellingham back in there. He squeezed a handball out to Sheed. It's a clever left foot kick that was. He wanted metres gained. He got it. Josh Kennedy's been as quiet as we've seen him for the year in the first half. Jimmy Webster got a piece of his jumper. Sinclair, the ruckman, is a quality player. This dangerous ball is a big one for Shuey to mark. Gilbert, they're out behind play if the West Coast can pick it up. There's a mismatch there. Holmes has got to chase Lacroix, and that was always going to happen. Richo was all over it. And the big man from America.
I felt for him.
He had his tongue on the ground. Richo, he was waving his arms, going, get me out of here.
He was actually playing as loose behind the footy, and Lacroix creeped in behind him, and he realised, gee, actually, I've got to go with him now. And he was out with him for about 60 or 70 metres, and the big fella obviously wasn't able to cover the agility of Mark Lacroix, and I guess his footy now over playing the game his whole life.
He couldn't believe his luck, Mark Lacroix. He hooked around.
Yes, that's a matchup I like.
This is something for me. Started the first quarter with a couple of goals. Mark Lacroix, the Eagles just starting to get right back on top. There's 3 goals to Lacroix.
West Coast just so efficient. They've been inside forward 50 20 times this game, and they've scored 14 times. And for all St Kilda's good work and pressure and everything that they've done, West Coast just keeps scoring whenever they move the ball. And St Kilda, no reward on that scoreboard. That's going to be disheartening for them because they have been good in the pressure area, but they need to score to build that confidence.
Very nearly a call-back ball, that one out of the middle, Hess Hill to Wellingham. So they've kicked the only 3 goals of the quarter here, West Coast. Been some gallant defence, but in the end, it's been this ultra-strong West Coast side. It's come through. Dunstan really hard at it, and Gaff did not take a backward step either.
West Coast.
Crunching attempt to win the footy there from Luke Dunstan, and feeling the effects of it as well. The free kick has gone the other way.
He's got pinged for dragging it into. It's a tough game when it is.
Yeah.
You make the play, you submit your body, and then you end up getting taken off you, Richo.
For so long it was your instinct to go at it at ground level and keep it locked in so that it didn't spill out and teams could run away with it. You're actually coached that way for a long time, and the rules have changed, obviously. So players that actually go in now and get it are often penalised, which sometimes it just seems a little harsh to me.
Important 3 minutes here before half-time. The Saints have been really brave. As Lingy's pointed out a number of times, that doesn't give you anything. You need the scoreboard to tick over as well. Montagna played it really well. He had his old mate Nick Rewalt screaming for it out the back. He got a shocking bounce, Rui. Couldn't believe it. West Coast skipper Herm was in the way. Really classy kick it was from Wellingham, but it was really well played by Geary, combining with Farron Ray. And that's a disappointing result. The West Coast will have it back through Matt Rosa. So the Saints have, from the 15-minute mark of the first quarter, Rich, have really been able to slow West Coast down.
It's just been their efficiency inside 50 that's hurt them tonight. You look across the stat sheet and the Saints have tackled, their pressure's been great. The inside 50s are actually St Kilda's way. The clearances are pretty even, actually +2 St Kilda. So they've competed really well across the ground. It's just that efficiency that Lingy spoke about, the Eagles, when they go forward.
As I mentioned earlier, this is a team, the West Coast Eagles, who average 116 points per game in their home games. So 49 points just closing in on half-time there, maybe slightly under Spills out wide now to Jackson Nelson. He's got a lead-up player in Josh Hill, former Bulldog. He's kicked 8 goals in his last 2 games here at the main stadium, Josh Hill.
Had a good year, 34 goals as a permanent forward's a good year.
Yeah, in his 18 games, 2015, Natanui, the crowd always go up. Nick Nat's involved. Montagna disposal number 18, make it 19 now for Joey, streaming out of half-back. He's going to get 20 in the first half. Always tries his heart out, this Joey Montagna, the champ from the Saints, to Mav Weller. That's a good ball. Hugh Goddard is pushed forward through his hands, gets onto his left foot. Can he pick it up? And Goddard has, and he's slotted it through. Hugh Goddard kicks his first goal in AFL football.
Well, everybody remembers their first goal in AFL footy. Hugh Goddard, well done to him. Geelong boy, Geelong Amateurs was his local football club. Played at the Geelong Falcons, went to school at Melbourne Grammar. And an exciting young player, drafted as a centre-half back. Great that he could sneak down and kick his first goal in AFL footy.
Nice tackle from Sed Ross. Spilled out to his teammate in Nunes. And look at the speed of the pace. Weller, that was brilliant play. Set sail for home. And Bruce couldn't keep it in.
He really backs himself in when he gets at Matt Weller and uses that pace and speed and burst, and they mean all the same things, don't they? Pace, speed and burst.
But he's got it all, Richo. Yeah. Started his career on the Gold Coast.
Yeah. And he's in, as you said, he's been elevated to the leadership group at St Kilda, so highly respected in his short time there.
45 seconds remaining before half-time. St Kilda's tackling pressure has been outstanding. They are crashing in with great intensity and did well here again to slow the West Coast Eagles down. Seen a lot of this. Nick Natanui, Jason Holmes. Holmes got front position. Strength of Natanui prevailing in the second effort. Handball chopped off down there by Geary. Look at Matt Prittis. He's just a magnet for an AFL football, is Prittis. Dom Sheed now wanting to find his left foot. Prepared to work a little 1-2 with his mate Gaff. And that's a classy left foot kick. Oh, brilliantly done though. It was Murdoch who came through. Big footy to be won here in the centre of Domain Stadium. Jack Stephen gets involved as well. And there's 6 seconds remaining. A free kick, so maybe
Thank you.
we'll just run out of time.
Just come back around the mark, please. Hold.
So an entertaining first half of football here. It's the West Coast Eagles 7-7-49. They lead St Kilda 3-5-23, a margin of 26 points at half-time. But as we've said a number of times, they were out to a 25-point lead at the 10-minute mark of the first quarter. And since then, you can't have anything but great respect for the way Alan Richardson's team have presented themselves here tonight.
Yeah, they have. They've just been really competitive. Their tackle intensity, 48 tackles. They're putting a lot of pressure on the Eagles. It's just that little bit of extra class and that powerful forward line that can get the job done.
That's the big story from a West Coast point of view. Chris Marston has got a hamstring. It is iced up. He's been subbed out. Xavier Ellis, the activated sub, and as we will tell you here at halftime, there's been some big injuries to finals players in round 23. Matt Prittis, he makes his way into the locker room. 21 disposals for Matt Prittis in the first half. That's just almost standard play for this man who's had a better year than last year when he won the Brownlow medal.
Oh, he's just outstanding. 21 disposals, but he's had 18 handballs, 13 contested possessions and 6 clearances. And some of his work with Natanui tonight, they've seen some really clean clearances from these two. This one here, look at that. That's just easy for those two. But he's on his way to another 3 Brownlow votes potentially tonight. And who knows? Maybe back-to-back Brownlow medals for Matt Prittis.
42 more handballs than any other player in the comp this year. He's second in the AFL for clearance, number 1 for tackles, Matt Prittis. As Chris Marston makes his way down, let's get down to BT.
Yes, Das, down here in the St Kilda rooms, you can see the boys are just coming in now. And did a great job in that half, Jaron. No reward for the pressure you put on, though, in that quarter.
Yeah, they jumped us pretty early, and I think they kicked the first 4 goals, and since then I think it's been 3 goals apiece, and we've gone forward on a few occasions, but we just haven't been able to finish off our hard work through the midfield. So we get enough opportunities. We've just got to make the most of them.
The pressure that you've applied has been absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, that was something we came into the game aimed to do last week. We were pretty disappointed with our pressure. We've been pretty good with our pressure all year, and last week we let ourselves down, so that was our aim going into the game.
Is there one adjustment that comes to mind that you think you should make?
we just got to be more composed when we go forward with the ball. I think Rui and Brucey get enough split off their opponents. They play a bit of a zone in defence, so we just got to be smart with their boys going forward and hopefully make the most of opportunities.
Good luck, mate. I think the meeting's about to start, so you better get cracking. Thank you for that, Jaron Geary. Welcome to Cameron Ling here as we take a look at the West Coast rooms. And what do you think's being said there right now, Lingy?
Well, just amazing that taking through almost the whole group there about, I reckon their ball movement, though, going forward, they probably want to defend a little bit better. You see Adam Scrobelak there talking with Jason Holmes. Big ask for Jason Holmes coming up against Nick Naitanui.
So with the experience of Naitanui, what's the one thing, if you could talk to Holmes now, what would you say to him?
Well, it's really hard. You want to be able to take his body and limit his jump a little bit, but then at some point in time, he's got to use his strengths, go at the ball, use his leap and his reach to be able to get a hand on the footy as well. You can't be too Nick Naitanui conscious. That's very hard to do, of course, though, BT.
It is indeed. Hey, we're going to be back here inside the rooms here at St Kilda in just a moment. Alan Richardson are having a chat with Sam Gill, but plenty more to come. Stay with us. Back in the room shortly. Half-time, West Coast by 26.
Oh, we love the Oz kickers. What a beautiful bounce and a lovely left foot kick. This is the highlight of a young boy or young girl's year here. And that's the old Adelaide Crows throw. They used to do that in the early days, Richo.
Crow throw.
Look at the young kids. Smiles on their faces everywhere, whether they get a touch or not. You're not supposed to tackle, but that doesn't stop them.
Little tackle never hurt anyone.
Oh, that's a nice little don't argue too to go with it.
Bit of Dustin Martin there.
Beautiful stuff. Hey, the big story here, aside from the West Coast leading in half-time by 26 points, is Chris Marston, who's pulled up lane. You just see there, that was the first part. Middle of your screen there, Richo. He puts his hand up straight away, and he can lip read there. I've done my hammy, is what Chris Marston has done here in the first half.
And players know, if you've pulled a muscle before, you know when you've done one. So you feel really sorry for him, and he's pointing out there. I reckon he's just pointing that it's fairly low down on that right leg, and here he is now coming out after half-time, and the coach coming over to him. That's shattering because you put in so much work over the pre-season, you play the whole season, your team's got a double chance, and you pull a hammy in the last game of the year. So let's hope it's on the minor end of things and he can get himself back.
Yeah, you can read a lot into that little exchange there between Adam Simpson, the coach, and Chris Marston. His finals series has to be in serious day. Let's get down to Lingy. The Saints have activated their sub, have they?
Yeah, they have, Das, and it's Hugh Goddard who's been subbed out for St Kilda, putting the red vest on. Jack Sinclair will come into the game. Hugh Goddard kicking his first goal in AFL football just before the half-time break. And keeping a close eye on things, the physio there with some ice, I can't really tell what it is, what the problem is, but given they'd love to keep getting game time into him, I can only assume it's an injury as opposed to a management decision. So I'll get an update for you when I know exactly what he's done.
What about the leap Naitanui displayed there at the first centre bounce of the second half? He almost was horizontal in the end. Have a look at that, the knee in the throat of Holmes, and then that is just an image that you can't keep your eyes off. Brilliant athleticism.
It's a massive weapon for a team to have, a ruckman who can get up and then have that much control over where he wants to put the football.
So unique. Here comes the Saints inside forward 50. Dunstan. McGovern always plays in front. It's Jeremy McGovern, Richo.
I love defenders who just play the ball on its merits and don't just worry about the forward. He just watches the ball and goes for it. He's not too worried about where his opponent is.
Averages almost 4 intercept marks a game, which is #1 in the AFL. Been a great story. Look at Naitanui. Takes a bounce, streaming down the wing here at the main stadium. Inside 50, Kennedy takes his first mark of the night. Just the 2 handballs for Josh Kennedy in the first half. The man who will win the Coleman medal in 2015. Probably his quietest half tonight.
What about this? When a ruckman is running with a footy, normally it's handball, no problems. But to think about giving it and then go, no, I'm just as good a kick as the midfielder running next to me.
Yeah, he's one of a kind, Nick Naitanui.
48 games in his 11 games at Domain Stadium this year. That was for 49. And he hit the post.
Remember Harry Madden running down the wing at Waverley that day with the bounce?
Give it, Harry.
He looked a little bit more coordinated there, Nick Nat. Harry Madden, a great ruckman. Don't get me wrong, but Nick Nat just bounces the ball slightly better, I think.
I think we have got you wrong a bit there, Richard.
Oh, basically.
I think you're having a go.
Basically torched Harry there.
One of your posters on offer here tonight, Dempster. 5 posters so far. Dempster at half-back. Down in the rooms at half-time, there was definitely a feel of they're doing everything right. They just need to get a dividend for that. But when you're playing a side that is absolutely at the top end of the competition like West Coast, who can do just about everything there is, just a little bit better than you, it's a tough ask. Here's McGovern. High ball. Looking for Sinclair. Block against West Coast, I think. Go to West Coast.
It's going to Jack Darling, yeah.
Okay, so Jack Darling almost within range here, Jack Darling.
And that was McGovern again, being able to win the ball back for his team.
So he's gone back and he's decided that he can get the journey from here. Very deliberate in his lining up of this one. So let's have a look. This will give us a good idea of the strength in his leg here. Very close to the man on the mark and really struggled to get the journey. So it's safe to say that he's a just inside 50 operator.
Well, you always hook it when you go for that extra power, and that's what happened there.
Robertson with ball in hand and the kicking duties for the Saints. Still just feel if they could get 2 or 3 in a row here, the Saints, that they might just ask a question of the West Coast Eagles, who, given the Hawthorn win today, they have to win to keep second spot. Which you would think would be a certainty, but
if they don't, Dust, I think there's a chance there could be a derby final here.
Yeah, it could be Fremantle and West Coast, the first final here, wouldn't it? That'd be an enormous day. Off the shin of Prittis, not out of bounds on the full.
So that would be intriguing. So West Coast need to keep the foot to the floor here, and they can't allow someone like St Kilda to get a bit of a sniff here in the last game. Got to keep working them over. 28-point advantage here at the moment.
It's been a high handball game here tonight. Both teams have tackled really well. I think that's forcing both teams to just flip around a few too many handballs.
Dunstan's got to meet the footy here, and he does, under a little bit of pressure from Prittis. A great game from Matty Prittis, leading possession getter on the ground. Gee, Dunstan's gone back, and this has been gobbled up, and Yo congratulates him, and Dunstan doesn't like it, but good pressure from West Coast. Now, Kennedy, look at him, taking 3 or 4 steps. He's telling the umpire to look at the goal, and he's creeped about 3 metres inside. Very intelligent play. Umpires, if you're watching out there, do not turn your back on a forward when he is lining up for goal. He is conning you. I reckon he's gained 3 or 4 steps inside then, Kennedy. 72 goals for the year. Unless Cameron does a Fred Fanning tomorrow, he will be the Coleman medalist. And measures that beautifully. 4 in a row for West Coast. This is what I'm talking about. Now, Kennedy takes the mark there, no problems. You can see where the mark is. It's where the St Kilda player is. And now he starts to take a few steps to the right, few more. Umpire turns his back. Look, a couple more. And he's just gained a 3 or 4 metre advantage then.
Spoken by a true full forward who knew all the tricks in the book. Bristle. Would have been one of yours, wouldn't it? Just thinking a little bit of...
Could write a textbook on that sort of stuff, Brian.
Yep. They all do it, and they're really good at it.
Sinclair and Holmes. It's an impressive player. Hutchins. Now Cripps tried to fend off, couldn't get past Murdoch, and Myers going to give him the benefit of the doubt. No prior opportunity.
Coming through there. Out there.
There's a real excitement here in the West about what's to come in September. They've had a great season with West Coast and Fremantle on top of the ladder for such a long period of time. The headlines over here in the Western Australian talk about a $30 million bonanza with 4 home finals if they are to get over St Kilda tonight. Great story for Adam Simpson. It's a side that they lost key defenders at the start of the year, and McKenzie, and you just thought maybe it was going to be a tough year. So they go inside 50 again and pushed under it. So Josh Kennedy.
Losing those key defenders, I reckon they maybe adjusted their defensive setup to not have to play one-on-one as much and just play that more zoning style.
Oh, there it is, the Coleman medalist from outside 50. 2 in a row to Josh Kennedy.
Goal umpire here, getting right in amongst it all. Just had the old cap knocked off, but he didn't mind. Did his job. Copped a bit of an armful from Shawnee Dempster. Stood tall and delivered the right decision. Umpire Jeff Dalgleish here tonight, bouncing that one up. Umpiring with his brother Brad on the boundary. Astonishing news tonight. Butler forward with the footy. Dempster. Little handball onto the run of Gilbert here. They've found a way through here at the moment. Can't afford to go backwards. Dunstan and Montagna to Rewalt. Now Rewalt.
Rewalt led up the centre of the ground then, and no one went with him. Didn't have an opponent because they're not actually playing on anyone. They're just playing space and grass and zoning off and forcing this sort of stuff and winning the ball back.
So McGovern there, little one over the top. And
Richo, you've spoken about him already, Jeremy McGovern, but his ability to read the ball in the air as soon as it comes off the kicker's boot is absolutely first class. He gets himself into a great position, and as you said, backs himself to mark the footy as opposed to just spoiling it.
oh, Yo with the flick pass there. I reckon that was the old flick pass handball, Shepherd.
The old EJ Whitten special.
Yeah, have a look at that. Elliott, Yo, with an old school operation there, I reckon. Could be wrong, but it looked very flick past that handball. Josh Kennedy there, kicked the last 2 goals of the game. Holmes fighting for the front position, but easily done over the top by Nat Nui. Here comes Shuey, past Ray, brushes the tackle, handball back inside. Rosa through real heavy traffic, had a ping, bending back a little, not enough. Have a look at this, was it a flick pass? Inside fist sort of closed.
Yeah.
Modern flick pass.
Yeah. An unusual sort of setup, wasn't it?
A few firsts here tonight, Richo, with the Dalgleish brothers.
Well, I think that may be wrong, Brian.
Oh, what?
The Dalgleish brothers, I think you've gone early on that one.
They're brothers, aren't they?
They are early, but they're not the only umpires, brothers.
No, they are brothers.
Big story. BT brought 2 umpires who are brothers umpiring tonight. That one's been chopped off by Murdoch.
Never before had brothers who'd been umpires been together before on one night. Well, that's incorrect, Brian.
Well, who were they, Richo?
Well, for a start, we've had Rich and Keith Pawley, goal umpires.
I'm talking about ones we know about, Richo. And Josh Kay,
I think
our
you've
main
gone
stats man. I might have to unload him here.
The household names of Dalgleish brothers, are they, BT, before you launch your massive breaking news tonight? Here comes Nick Natanui's wobbling barrel to the goal square. Gilbert's getting back. Darling always dangerous in there. And out comes Kennedy, picked up and turned in the one motion to Darling.
Well done.
Off to Gaff. Here's the silk and the class of the West Coast Eagles on display.
Gathered it nicely, didn't he?
Yeah, and to be able to break tackles and get handballs off in tight situations, it just breaks the whole game open. And it creates that goal for Gaff. That's an easy goal for him, but you can thank Josh Kennedy.
Think it's about teams at the top of the ladder. There's never any hesitation to give the ball off. Someone in a better opportunity. That's a fine mark by Josh Bruce there, backing back with the flight. And Shepherd a little sore as a result.
The umpire there mic'd up, just saying, bad luck, Brad. That was your own team, mate. Well, Brad's not too worried about that. He's worried the fact his nose is now across his face.
Saved in.
15 seconds.
So here is Bruce for his 50th goal of the year. Directly in front. He's a good kick, and that's a goal. No problems at all. He's got 50 for the year.
This is a good shot of the Eagles in their back 50, and they don't have their arm across their opponent. The old school days of just getting your arm across your opponent, they don't do that. They're prepared to give you a little bit of latitude and just back in their system and structure that they've got there.
Natanuui combining with Pritis. We've seen that an enormous amount in recent years. And
so look at McGovern now. Nick Rewalt probably would be enjoying that, but if you're just kicking high balls in, it's going to suit McGovern. You've got to lower your eyes and try and get through them that way.
Stream forward again here, the West Coast Eagles. Darling prepared just to get a fist on it to make sure that he wasn't outmarked. Fisher, Gilbert and Ray. And comes Andrew Gaff. What about his year? He's improved his average disposals from 24 to 30 this year. He leads the AFL in uncontested possessions, that man on screen. And for a hard-running outside wingman, he is just a piece of gold for the West Coast.
Yeah, I believe right up there in the Coaches Association Awards as well, Dar. So he's had a fine year, as you point out. Incorrect disposal, says the umpire here.
And what he does is he supports the in and under players like Matty Priddis just so well, because Priddis obviously great at winning the ball off the ruckman's hands, great in the contest. He then needs to feed to someone, and Andrew Gaff is that perfect someone who gets on the outside, hard running, quick, uses the ball well. They really complement each other.
Ball to the top of the square. Here comes Kennedy, both hands up there, out the back grip, sets it up for Nat Nui off the ground, goal. Doing it pretty easily now. Got a couple, Nick Nat. How important is this game for this man here, guys, tonight? Matty Priddis, no Fife, no Goldstein this weekend. Brownlow-wise, I'm thinking.
Yeah, and I think obviously down in Geelong today, the Cats having a win. I don't think Dangerfield would have picked up the 3 votes there. So it might come down to this, Brian. You never know. He has to have a lot of votes.
What do you reckon, Dars?
Yeah, it could be it, couldn't it? I mean, I know a lot of experts think that Nate Fife was a long way in front early, but he's had his issues. He's now missed a number of games. Free kick going West Coast way. Todd Goldstein's had an outstanding year, so it mightn't be as clear-cut as we first thought.
There's only one player on the ground with double figures kicks tonight. There's just been so much handballing going on.
West Coast really started to pile the pressure on now. They're under siege everywhere. Dunstan, clever little left foot kick, finds Armitage, who's had a fine season, David Armitage.
The 2 leading disposal getters on the ground. Priddis has had 21, 3 kicks, 18 handballs. Joey Montagna, 23. He's had 4 kicks and 19 handballs. It's been a hard night to get through, and this is, once again, you can't get through kicking the footy.
It's a difficult kick to make to Savage from Dunstan. Brilliant at setting a trap and turning it over West Coast. In went and Sam Butler on screen, back into the team tonight. As I said earlier, he's the last remaining premiership player on an AFL list, BT, for the West Coast Eagles.
Yep, here's McGovern driving in the Kennedy direction. Look at that, stuck up the one claw. Just dragged it in with a bit of sort of bent wrist, limp wrist style. Basketball style almost.
That was 3-on-1 then, look at that.
Look at this, look at the way he cups the wrist.
Geary getting back, he was 3-on-1. Sam Fisher there. Geez, a good player.
You've got to have 1 or 2 of these to win a premiership, I reckon, and they have got a couple here in Kennedy and Darling. The signature run up, that one's heading a little left. Another poster, I think that's poster number 6 for the night. And he will join Scott Cummings as the only Coleman medalist for the West Coast Eagles.
No poster. Stay there.
Reps the short one to Montagna.
The Gooch brothers and the Hendry brothers also umpired together.
Oh, Richo, you're going back to the 1800s, mate.
Nick Nat had a fair piece of the mark, not paid. Navwella's handball was interesting. Sheed and Hearn. And a boundary throw. You did go with the world exclusive, Bristol.
Well,
I say it was the best story.
It was off the back of 2 very important men. Hayden Kennedy, the umpire's boss. I'm going to hang him out there to dry. And Josh Kay, the world's leading foremost expert. Bruce McAvaney's right-hand man.
Jeez, you've given your sources up tonight, haven't you, with that blowout?
Come on, guys.
Well, I think you need to just go into it a bit deeper next time you have a Ripper world exclusive.
All I wanted to get out was the brothers. Here's Montagna. Not one for great homework. Never was, even at school. Just sort of the cover of the book style operator. Here's Holmes. And out the back door, Gaff, Hearn, Butler, all combining. Little backwards deep, wee little kick around the corner, finds Xavier Ellis.
You'd cram all your study into the night before, Brian, I reckon.
I did all my study in the corner when I was sitting there for most of my school years. High ball at Pinjarra High, Dempster, Mr. Spargo, mean operator. Still there now. There's the brothers, the Dalglish brothers. I think Jeff Dalglish, the field umpire, is the older. Here is Sinclair. Nice little ball. Finds Yo.
And Yo, who's speared one into the middle. That's a brilliant kick. Opens up to Hearn. He's capable from here. Shannon Hearn, the West Coast Eagles skipper. Maybe the biggest drop punt kick in the league, and just fell a couple of centimetres short. Saints get it moving quickly to Fisher. Shows how amazing this team are over here in the West. They're great anywhere, but it's going to be a huge challenge. It's shaping like the Hawks in the first final here. It may well be next Friday night. We know that they beat them a couple of weeks ago over here. We did that game on Saturday Night Football, but to come over here and knock this team off in a final at home, it's an enormous challenge.
Yeah, round 20 over here on a Saturday night. The Hawks had a win, so looking forward to that game. It looks like that's going to be the case.
Gilbert, good to see him back and fit, playing regularly now for the Saints. He was a huge player.
Make that
grand final teams.
Make that round 19. Sorry, Das. They last played.
Yes, well, I know we're still a quarter and a bit away, and West Coast will probably be a little conservative in the last quarter, trying to protect themselves a little bit. As you mentioned before, Das, it does mean that there will be, this win means there will be 4 finals in Perth, whichever way you look at it. There will be 4 games played in Perth, so that Cas Bonanza for the state that was on the front page of the West Australian newspaper today is real. I love it. And I mentioned before, each time they've finished in the top 2 in previous occasions, 4 of them, they've made the grand final every time, the West Coast. There's Yo. Robinson trying to spear his way through. Pritis on the bottom of this, eventually got rid of it. Loney trying to get hold of it in there as well. It's just not going to come out of there. The umpire's going to have to blow the whistle. So, Lingy, the mind frame, you've been through this many times, of the West Coast Eagles in this last quarter when they know they've won, top 2, nothing to gain. What is it?
Yeah, that's where it gets a little bit hard, because you want to continue your good form and your good habits into next week, and that is important. But at the same time, you've got one eye firmly set on next week, not wanting to get hurt. So you kind of want to go not half-hearted, but half at it. But you know that if you do, more often than not, you get hurt. So you've got to balance that a little bit, not do anything stupid.
That's not an old myth, is it, Lingy, that if you go half, you're going to get hurt more? I mean, my junior coach told me that 35 years ago.
Not a myth, BT. I reckon when you just go and put one arm in or just try to not get hurt, that's when you end up getting injured. But you do a shoulder or you get a knock because you haven't gone at it like you normally would. I reckon they got to keep going, but nothing stupid.
Chance for Nick Revolt here. He's going to try and confront Wellingham. Wellingham had a good play on the ball. He worked with Xavier Ellis, who started as the sub, and a kick out of defence a little too tall. It might be a free kick, or was a touch before it was out of bounds. And the other story is Chris Marston. It's, he pointed out earlier, has done a hamstring. We saw him being consoled by the coach, Adam Simpson. There he is, and he looks very, very disappointed, man. He may not have any further dealings in 2015, Richo.
Well, we hope it's a minor hammy, but even if it is minor, it's at least a couple of weeks.
Here comes Mav Weller. So Big Holmes, the ruckman, is a little more active at ground level today, which is an encouraging sign. Good tackle from Armitage, wrapped up Sinclair.
BT, there is another element to that, of course, is there's some Eagles players who want to be making sure they're still playing really good footy, just in case there's any little question marks around selection. They want to be playing next week. They don't want to give the coach any opportunity to choose someone else over them in next week's final. So those players, they'll still be going absolutely 100%.
That is true. Dylan Robinson there, doing some work and then going immediately to the bench to get a rest, and I think they've told him, no, Dylan, no, you can come off.
So you think self-preservation is just a natural thing to feel, and you know where you are next week, and that some of the senior players just can't help it. If there's a ball to go back with the flight, you might just decide maybe not now.
You can't help it, Das, and you still play the game, so you're still caught in the moment, you're still competitive, so you do, let's say 95% of what you'd normally do, but there's just that little part of you that says, okay, just blow the siren now. I want to end this game because I want to be playing against Hawthorn next week in a huge final for my football team. I don't want to be getting hurt in this game.
Wellingham and Hearn.
Must have been a good feeling, that, Lingy. I was normally starting to wonder which pub I was going to go Monday to London Tavern or...
Richo was costuming up. He was getting ready for the Monday.
Might start at the London Tavern and work our way down Swan Street.
Get through the lot of them. Dunstan, one club, didn't they say recently that Mad Mondays are finished?
Yeah, I think they're finished now.
Yep, pretty well gone. Barbecue at home these days.
Probably a good idea, Brian.
Webster.
Oh, Richo, it's not a good idea.
Oh, man, Richo's joined us here.
No, you're right.
Kidding yourself.
No, it's not a good idea. You're right, Wing.
Victor Mature. Wellingham with a very nice smother. Through traffic there, Sheed. Onto that familiar left. Now, Kennedy's a chance here. Should Mark does. Difficult angle, but he'll get the journey, no problems. And he's looking for his third. Now, he's not supposed to gain any ground by going further around the fence here, which I think is unfair. The forwards, they can't have their normal run-up. Kick on the way is a rip-up, but it's just going to drift left by a metre or two. In defence, when you have the free in the back pocket, Das, they always say to you, could you give him a couple of extra metres? Never say that up forward.
Yeah, that's a very interesting point that you make there, Bristol. Hard to understand why. As Dunstan finds his way through it, slipped through Rewalt's hand, but it was fortunately for Stephen in his lap, and then Farron Ray just got the communication cross there and handled into the back of Rewalt. West Coast get back involved. Gilbert in there. I don't think that one's going to come out. A lot of players around by letting it go for a long while.
Yep.
So let's have a look at this again.
Out here.
You should have seen Nick Rewalt's face. What are you doing, man? Right, so I'm looking at Andrew Gaff emerged with the footy, got it to Shuey to Sheed. This midfield has become one of the best in the business. And that is a free kick going the way of Elliot Yo.
So Yo here. Long ball, look at Lacroix at the back. Hill advances as well. He's got it across the face. They had it covered in the middle of the pack, the back of the pack, and Hill at the front. Josh Hill, one of those players I would assume, Richo and Lingy right on the fringe.
He is one of those, but when you can take marks like that and you can kick goals, he's a chance to be playing next week. So dangerous.
56-point lead for the West Coast Eagles, 1 minute prior to three-quarter time.
So Josh Hill staking his claim for a finals berth next week. Is that goal number 40, Richo?
Yeah.
For Josh Hill?
Sorry, Lacroix's got 40. Hill's got 36 now, Das.
They are arguably the most potent forward line in the game. And this West Coast team.
And Darling, if he'd played every game, he'd have over 40 as well.
So here is Jack Darling. He's a powerhouse, so strong through the core. To Kennedy will win the Coleman medal. And he just dragged it across the face.
Not many teams in the comp that every one of their 6 starting forwards or 5 forwards is a genuine chance to kick 2 or 3 goals every week. And there's 2 teams that have got that, I reckon, at the moment. That's Hawthorn and the Eagles. You can nearly throw Adelaide into that mix as well.
Farron Ray over the back. Out the back door, almost over the boundary line by Jack Stephen. Put his teammate under pressure. Armitage did well. Little Chisler, the centre half back. Nice ball to Weller. A little behind Savage. Had to go back and get it. But they're out of trouble and out of the loop here now. The Saints, Montagna. Neat little kick over the top to Loney. Ross back inside. Did it really well. Ray with sure hands. Ran into a little bit of trouble. Stolen turnover. Counter-attacks on. Alice. Chisler. Found Hutchings. Hill's all by himself outside. They haven't seen him yet. Sinclair goes to the other side of the ground. Hill's still by himself. Look at them queuing up in the middle corridor here. Shuey with a little ball. Kennedy in the jukes, outstretched. Will line up with 2 seconds remaining in the third quarter.
You're right, Brian. There were players everywhere as we look at that running into the post. But that turnover there on the wing, Farron Ray cocked up that handball. They could have gone to 5 options inside 50 then.
Yeah. So here is Kennedy looking for goal number 3. 6th goal of the quarter on offer here. 74 goals in total. A 63-point lead on offer. And he hammers a long ball home. And they love that here at Domain Stadium. Josh Kennedy with goal number 3. West Coast at three-quarter time lead by a whopping 63 points. Big night on offer for the West Coast Eagles, because if Lacroix kicks this and they get a good start, they're probably going to finish second, and that gives them home finals galore here. Nat Nui has been in real good touch against Big Holmesy. He's been doing the lot, whether it's the ruck work, the smother, the real good team play, and ultimately Cripps kicking the goal. 15-point leaders at quarter time here, West Coast. And the Saints were able to get going as well as Goddard kicked his first goal. Hamstring here for Maston. That is bad news for the West Coast Eagles. Kennedy is going to win the Coleman medal as well, so all sorts of records falling here. Gaff wandered into an open one, and Josh Hill floating across the front puts them 63 points up here at three-quarter time. And we're ready to start the last quarter. West Coast 13-14, 92. St Kilda 4-5-29. Lingy.
Well, BT, St Kilda's competitive season comes to an end, so it's all about West Coast right now in this last quarter. I reckon with the game one, it's all about their player management. I'm looking for Adam Simpson to perhaps get Nick Natanui spending some more time on the bench in this last quarter, Josh Kennedy spending a bit of time on the bench, and really rotating his midfielders 2, 3, 4-minute bursts at most, so they don't use all their petrol in this last quarter, that they're fresh and ready to go for what will be a massive final next week against Hawthorn. They will manage their players as much as they possibly can. Fingers crossed, no injuries for them.
And when you haven't got hair, that's what you go with.
That's a serious commitment to the West Coast Eagles, that is, isn't it? A big eagle right on top of your melon. Opportunity now for the sub, Jack Sinclair. Direction of Sam Fisher. Appears to be starting forward, Sam Fisher, so Alan Richardson's throwing a few around maybe here in the last quarter of season 2015. He's got Armitage in the goal square. Kick as a genuine full forward as well.
Kicked 22 goals. It's 216 games, Sam Fisher.
Gilbert picked it up really cleanly. Yo in there, and Pritis. As Lee said, it's going to be interesting that the Eagles have got human nature would suggest an eye clearly on next week and this massive final coming up against the Hawks. We probably think that will be the Friday night final.
So Josh Bruce is down back.
Thanks, Matt.
Played a lot of defence, obviously, in his days. Not a lot of his games that he played at the GWS.
West Coast.
So he's been up forward all year, but he's going to have a quarter at full back now to finish it off.
Hawthorn match up very well against West Coast. Won their last 5 against them, and that'll be what's happening in the first week of the finals here for West Coast. Yo.
She's a good mark, Yo. Great overhead.
His size, yeah.
Yeah, very good.
St Kilda bang it back towards centre half forward. Wellingham committed to win the footy. Butler. Nat Nui, Shuey wide. Just might be a breaking story with the umpires' brothers tonight. I believe there could be triplets.
Is that right?
I'm just working on it.
Oh, here we go. Another
short ball to Kennedy.
You're going to add another layer to your
also told that
story.
St Kilda have been told they're not allowed to stay over tonight, and they are all going back on the midnight flight, and no Mad Monday because they'll be in for assessment. So I believe it's Wacky Wednesday these days for the clubs.
That's disappointing for them.
Yep.
You've got to go into the club on Monday now.
I think so.
I believe that's the way it works, Richo, and yeah, that is true. The Saints will be flying out tonight straight after this game. Heading back home to Melbourne. And
really is a professional game now, isn't it? Straight back to work Monday.
Well, Matt Pritis, he's eyeing off, just filling his boots right up, and maybe 3 late Brownlow votes. Montagna on the goal line. Saves a day, 28 disposals for Lee Montagna. He's averaged 28 this season. And just able to get a finger on it at time.
Good call from the umpire, I reckon. All of the ball hadn't crossed the line. Murdoch, just his 20th game. And down the line, had to be precise, and he was to Gilbert. Good effort.
Re-signed for a couple more years, Sam Gilbert, this week. Good news for him. Finished off the year really well.
High footy there, and the news at half-time as well. We believe that Corey Enright will sign a new deal with Geelong.
Yeah, that's great news for Cats fans, and another solid year from that champ.
Good mark taken by Dempster behind Darling on that occasion. And it's just careful footy here at the moment is how I would describe it. And it's a 50-metre penalty against Ellis, says the umpire.
We're involved in the marking contest and you pull the ground.
I reckon it's too harsh, the 50-metre penalty.
That's why I gave him a 25, I reckon. There.
I think Xavier Ellis is certainly to play in the final next week. Start as a sub tonight.
Well, he's probably one of those guys, Das, who, again, a little bit on the borderline, wants to make sure he's playing the best football he possibly can. He's been sub a lot this year, as we've mentioned, subbed off a lot, started sub tonight. Yeah, he just needs to keep being better and better. 50 metres now against Joey Montagna, just knocking the ball out of the hands of Jack Darling. But I think Xavier Ellis is important. He's been there and played finals, experienced player, a really well-liked player. I think it's important that he plays, but he needs to be at his absolute best to keep contributing to the team throughout finals.
I'm back on.
Imagine if a grand final was decided by a...
Well, sorry, Richard, that wasn't what the 50 was for. He tapped the ball out of his hands after that.
Yeah, he did. So Jack Darling, as a result, directly in front. He'll make no mistake from here. Darling converts. West Coast continue on their merry way. And
Adam Simpson's 12th win for the year by over 50 points. He's just had a stunning debut to his coaching career.
Once they get going, they're so hard to stop.
Particularly here in the West, they are devastating here.
He's got an appetite to run teams into the ground, the Eagles. Like the Western Bulldogs a few weeks ago, at half-time it was pretty much level, and they ended up winning by nearly 80 points, I think it was in the end.
25 goals they did on that occasion, and they've got more damage to do here. Lacroix, he's going to run in, and Mark Lacroix has kicked goal number 4.
well, Lacroix picks up one here as a result of this mistake. 4 goals denied. Kicked 12 in a game, I think, once, didn't he?
Yeah, that Eddie had.
8 shy of his PB, and this went on with Robertson and Cripps during the break as well. Jack Stephen, short ball, nice one to Fisher on the lead. Probably out of his range. Long ball, Rewalt backing up to this one. Or was it, yes it was, Nick Rewalt. Shuey with the thump away. Hutchings confronted there by Savage. And a good tackle. Just the 4 goals for the Saints tonight. That's all they've been able to conjure up out of this. Haven't beaten West Coast since Ross Lyon left the Saints.
They haven't been able to score the last few weeks. Only 4 goals last week as well for the Saints. The scoring's dried up.
Nations.
So none of the crowd are leaving here. They're all staying. They want to celebrate this entry into the finals from the West Coast Eagles after finishing just outside the 8 last year on 11 wins. And now Montagna with the 3.
It's just impossible to find a leading target in there with the Eagles, the amount of numbers and their setup. So you end up kicking it long and then they win it back like this, but then they run and spread and transition the ball.
Well, Richo, that's a key element, isn't it? It's all well and good getting those numbers back, but if the players just keep living back there, they've got no options going forward. But as you said, as soon as they win it, they all just take off. Probably could have got a free kick there. Sinclair, crowd not happy at all, but they all take off. They all join in the attacking part of the game to give options to their teammates.
It's easy to just sit back and rack up possessions, but to win it and then run forward, it takes work rate and it takes gut run, and it's courage to go back with a flight of the ball, but it's also courage to be able to dig deep and gut run in a game. As here, he was the best at it, watching him play through his career, the gut running.
Yeah, it's a great credit to the system that the coaching staff have put together, with the head being Adam Simpson, who just appears to have got this team like a well-oiled machine. They're dangerous in attack. They've got great systems in defence. Their midfield, if they're not the best, they're the most improved, and they're going to take some serious beating come finals time. They have to be a genuine chance to win the premiership this year. Jack Darling, what a unique player he is, this man. You'd love to have him on your side.
reckon Hawthorn are the only team at the moment that could come over here and beat them, and that's the matchup we're going to get.
So Jack Darling to add a little bit more pain on the scoreboard, and he makes no mistake, Jack Darling.
Just over 36,000 people here tonight. Come the final next week, there will be just over 40,000 in the house, I would imagine.
What's the record crowd here, Brian? That's your domain, crowd numbers.
Sure, I think it's only capable of just over 40, early 40s.
It's 44.
Is it?
142.
That's the capacity.
1991 qualifying final. That's the record. I don't think it would hold that many now, though.
May not.
They've got a wait list here for membership. They've got a wait list, the West Coast Eagles, for sponsors. And when this new stadium's been completed, 60,000. So they'll fill that without any issue at all.
What a great position to be in. Waiting list for members, if only for many other battling clubs.
So they'll be looking forward to the new stadium then.
Yep.
Their memberships.
They will indeed. Julie Bishop, one of our Commonwealth politicians, here tonight watching the game, and they're supporting the project as well. Here's Rewalt.
So that's how you can get them. That sort of kick there. McGovern wanted to zone back, and Rewalt came at the footy. That's how you can get McGovern in particular.
Now Wellingham. Back inside. They keep the ball moving. Gaff, Nat-Nui all combining and eventually ending with a Rosa ball out wide. He can go short, and he does. Stolen here by Montagna, though. So Montagna, boundary line will be a win for him as he's ushered through the interchange area.
Great to see little champ Joe Montagna just still trying his heart out. This season's done and dusted and throwing himself around.
249th game for Montagna tonight, Dar, so
yeah, he's had a super career. And they'll be desperate to just keep going, him and Nick Rewalt, his old mate. What's going on with Cripps and Nick Rewalt off the ball, and Rui's had enough, and I don't know what Jamie Cripps is getting involved in that for. We're going to be playing finals next week, and there's a bit going on behind the footy all round. Ideal for the West Coast Eagles as McGovern kicks the cover off that one around the body, and
what was going on there with the former teammates? There's a few.
Rui's going to go past again, and they're at it again.
Right in the interchange area here. So while that was going on, there was a scuffle as Rewalt was leaving the field as well. Armitage now. The footer, side 50, getting back. Shepherd sport by his own man Wellingham in the end, but Wellingham did try to mop up. Tackle against Murdoch by Wellingham. Ball not coming out of there with Fisher. So Rewalt goes to the bench, and this is what happened as Rewalt tried to leave the ground. Former teammates and umpire Dean Margetts getting involved there.
Takes a bit to fire Rui up, Richo. He's normally just goes about his business and doesn't worry about that, but
doesn't get involved in a lot of it, but something's upset him, obviously.
He said former teammates, and frustrated Nick Rewalt tonight. Tough game to be a forward. Savage wanting to feel the body there of Hutchins, who's held his spot in the side since round 15. Tough midfielder. He'll be desperate to play in that final next week. Over the top to Rosa. He wants Darling at the back. Nat-Nui sets himself. Yes. He's got it.
You could see it a mile off.
No one else in the league would have even dared to think they could mark it. It's just so exciting to watch. That 4 deep. Brilliant stuff. Josh Bruce looked up. Thought that can only be one man.
He said, get me back to the forward 50.
He's got himself into ripping form. Nick Nat-Nui heading into the final. That's his 3rd goal of the night, and the Eagles lead by 88 points.
Good mark from Nick Nat. Didn't get that high. Also knocked the wind out of him, landing flat on his back as well. St Kilda heading for their biggest loss of the year. 97 points last week against Sydney. And they're heading for something in that area here tonight. By this very powerful West Coast outfit. A team full of contributors. Sheed. So they have definitely secured themselves second position on the ladder here, West Coast, and as a result, 4 finals to be played in Perth. Both Fremantle and West Coast being involved. An absolute bonanza for the state of WA.
Well, it's just been a domination after half-time. There's 18 shots to 1 since half-time.
Yep. And since three-quarter time, 4 goals to zip in favour of West Coast. Umpires said you've got to keep going here. And in the end, Nelson does. Around the corner, finds Shuey. Crowd getting a little restless as they go forward. Lacroix, hands on the footy. Can he mop it up? No, ran into Savage. And now Jaron Geary. Not 15, said the umpire. This kick's got to be good to Dunstan, and it is under pressure.
I haven't seen it wave at a footy crowd for a while.
I thought that went out in the late 80s, Mexican wave, but they've got it back in operation here tonight. The West Coast fans, they're just enjoying themselves. And why wouldn't you, watching this team play as Yo?
I can't remember seeing that.
There it is.
It's not an absolutely committed one, is it?
Been going for a while. It's on about its 5th lap, Russell.
Yeah. Did you ever go to the cricket and just you couldn't be bothered getting up?
It wasn't a real wave anticipated myself, but
after about the 2nd lap, like that'll do, I reckon.
You were sitting in the members, were you, Richo?
No, just
snobby little boy you were.
It just gets a bit boring after 2 laps, I reckon.
This is Elliot Yeo. It's been another great discovery for the West Coast Eagles. Had an outstanding season. Big, tall, contested marking midfielder.
Oh, they're going berserk here now. They've really got it going on lap 8. The crowd, they're thoroughly enjoying themselves. You can see it in the background here, and why not? Because their team is a top 2 team in the competition. They played like that tonight. Dunstan, Holmes, fast hands, good to see. Armitage now. Corralled by Nick Nat, went and got it. Look at the acceleration. The handball under extreme pressure was fantastic. Wellingham sets Lacroix a task. Can he go all the way? No, left boot, centering ball. Back of the pack was Yo. Darling had it. He thought about the big ones. Could have perhaps slid the handball. Prittis instead snaps and he gets it across the face. Cameron Ling.
What about this? We've been raving about him all night, but pressure first of all, gets the tackle, follow up, and then the left-hand handball out to Hutchings. Wow, he's just so good to watch.
He's had 16 possessions, kicked 3 goals, laid 4 tackles, 4 of his own clearances. Nick Natanui, dominant performance.
What teams can win here, honestly, against the Eagles?
I reckon Hawthorn are probably...
I can only see Hawthorn beating them here in the finals.
Yeah. I don't think anyone else is. Maybe Fremantle might be the only other one. Last time Hawthorn played, Nick Natanui didn't. They had to work out a way to try and stop that man who's just... He looks awesome at the moment.
As exciting as he's been, I reckon West Coast fans would be happy if he just stayed there for the rest of the game. Sit on the bench, kick your heels up a little bit.
Dom Sheed had a career-high 27 possessions last week. He's bettered that. That was possession number 32. And just might have taken a little thin slice of the goalpost. It did. The margin now out to 90 points.
Seven posters, Brian.
Yeah.
It's been the left post every time.
Really?
Yep.
And is that the same distance between the big post at the top as the bottom, Richo?
I'll tell you what, Brian.
Butler.
I'm not going into it.
Shuey. Man of
you need to be able to open your mind up to think about things a little bit more. Actually open it up.
Very open. Very open, Richo.
You're pretty happy with your left post, that too. He's grinning like a sheer cat up here.
You blokes gave me about as much as...
That had umpire Dalglish written all over. There's McGovern fighting hard at ground level. Shepherd as well. Started the night on fire. Little one outside here. Gives Jack Stephen a chance to run on a good shepherd. Forthcoming there from Murdoch. Now Jack Stevens drawing handball over the top to Rewalt. Just got time to straighten. It's going to miss though.
Nearly hit the left post again.
Yep. He's been really on the ball, Richo, with his posters.
How long have we got here?
6 minutes. A lot can happen in 6 minutes.
Any sign of any of the guns from the West Coast getting rotated up the ground, Lingy, down there?
Well, Nick Natty's still sitting there. Jack Darling at the moment. Sharrod Wellingham. I wouldn't be surprised if a couple of those blokes stay right there. They'd be pretty comfortable, not keen to not get back out in the ground. But of course, that increases the load on everybody else who's on the ground. So they will still make a few changes. I reckon they'll be aiming to have a few set blokes spend most of the rest of this 5.5 minutes on the bench.
So Dean Cox down there, he's the ruck coach.
Have a look at this.
Brilliant play from Kennedy. And he had Hill lined up. Well played by Webster. Good pick up. The forward pressure from Hill was impressive as well. Now Seb Ross runs onto it. It's the thing with the West Coast forward line as well. Not only do Darling and Josh Kennedy kick goals and take pack marks, they're great pressure players as well. Cripps is a forward pressure animal. McGrath's good at it. They're pretty complete.
Play on.
And Nick Rewalt just going backwards here to Savage. Good user out of defence, and Ellen Richardson trying to build a back 6 or 7. Danny Frawley helping out down there with the defensive work. There's Robertson. Not very, very few of the crowd. Very few of the 36 have left tonight. Montagna. Be a flurry for tickets now. West Coast fans know exactly what's going on. Hawthorn in the first of the finals.
They would have already booked them, wouldn't they?
Probably on the phones as we speak. Richo. Hearn. To Hill. Now Gaff. Back inside to the fleet-footed Josh Hill. He too draws a player. Butler, Shuey, Prentice. Around the corner with a high ball. Robertson's got back, although in the way was Sinclair. Now Kennedy's thereabouts. Ground level footy to be won. Here, didn't have it. Loney was appealing for the free, got nothing. And with 3.5 minutes remaining, it is a 89-point lead.
He'd just be nervous now. 3.5 minutes left. Doesn't want any of his prime movers to get injured.
Yeah, there's not much to gain, is there?
Nothing to gain.
Prentice, still got an appetite for a lot more of the footy, though. They don't know any other way, these great West Coast players. Xavier Ellis, he's a premiership player with the Hawks back in 2008. Started as the sub tonight. He's drawn the free kick here.
Came on earlier than he would have expected with Marston going off with that hamstring injury. That's the only sour note here for West Coast.
It's bad news, isn't it?
Obviously Xavier Ellis fit. He had such a horrible run with injury and classy players. One of the best players on the ground in that grand final back in 2008. It was only his 3rd season. Here's Gaff. Hutchins, and now another one to provide more pain and more damage, and Yo. He's marked it on the line, Elliot Yo.
Another good overhead mark.
Coming into tonight, Richo, 29 contested marks for the year, which is a leap for his size. Another goal of the West Coast Eagles. 95 points is the margin.
So back to the middle. 2.5 minutes remaining. It'll be West Coast Hawthorn next Friday night. That's where it's at. Here for the West Coast Eagles. Rosa. Little soccer, clever. Armitage. Jack Stephen with a little bit of speed there. Still left in the legs. Ross deliberately along the ground. And then a brilliant smother from Nelson. Jackson Nelson.
It's hard to believe they've got it out to 95 points. At half-time, the Saints had been pretty competitive. Blacks couldn't quite get any scores on the board inside 50, but all the numbers weren't out of control. But this second half, they just put the foot down.
Haven't won by 100 yet this year, West Coast, and here is a genuine opportunity with a 95-point lead with 2 minutes remaining in the game.
Guys, the West Coast bench at the moment, Sinclair just coming off. They haven't bothered to send anyone on. Nick Naitanui was going to go on, but message was coming down. Don't send Nick Naitanui back on the ground. So at the moment, one short.
Is that right?
You don't see that too often, do you?
Well, there you go. There's Adam Simpson. He's going, no way. Are we having him injured now?
And with a minute 29 remaining, there's 5 on the interchange, and I wouldn't be sending Nick Nat anywhere near going out there again.
If I was Coxie, I'd be calling every West Coast player that come past the bench to come off.
Off you come.
And no one going on.
What a great asset it is for Nick Naitanui to have Dean Cox, who I think is the best ruckman in the last 25 years.
Who would the next one to be coming off be, do you reckon?
Or he'd be thinking about...
I'd get Shooter McGovern off because can't afford to lose another key defender.
Yeah, he's super important to this man, Prittis, as well. Sheed, career high disposals for Sheed in the goal square. You think about Josh Kennedy as well. Darling fell over. He's going to get back up. Still competing hard. Josh Hill can't keep it in.
It's hard to get him off because he's already on the bench, Jeremy McGovern. So
yeah, the other guys on the bench is Josh Kennedy and Jeremy McGovern and the 2 ruckmen. There is no way any of those blokes are going anywhere near the field.
Well, there you go. The key forward, the ruckman, the key defender. All big blokes. Just proves big blokes are more important.
Hutchings have a ping there and misses.
Well, just all the midfielders carrying the workload again, while those big blokes just put the feet up and rest.
Lingy, they are the ones that get the job done on the bench there right now.
Look at that, 4 big blokes.
All big blokes.
That says something, doesn't it, about the importance of what the coaches think about midfielders are a dime a dozen. And a big win here for the West Coast Eagles. WA teams will finish 1-2 at the end of the season for the first time ever, and they have the 2 favoured teams to win the premiership by way of position. 1 and 2 will have a Friday night game, West Coast Hawthorn, and more likely than not a Fremantle-Sydney game on Saturday here at this venue. What a big occasion for the state of Western Australia. They'll be bubbling here. There'll be blues all week and fights in the street. It is a huge win for West Coast. 95 points, second on the ladder. One of the genuine premiership favourites, Adam Simpson, is delighted. Big win. Let's get down to Cameron Ling. Take it away, Lingy.
This guy at BT, Nick, just asked if he could just give it a miss today, which is completely fair enough. Yep. No worries whatsoever. So I will grab one of the other guys. I'm going to head over and grab Josh Kennedy. Come on with me, BT. Right. The star full forward, the Coleman medalist. I'm going to have to run after him. Just having a chat. Sorry, Josh, to interrupt there. You've just won the Coleman medal, which I know you don't want to focus on the individual awards, but it is a really nice award to win, no doubt.
Oh, mate, still got a few games tomorrow, so haven't really won it yet, so see how we go.
Well, Jeremy Cameron, I think he's got to kick 16 to beat you, so you'd be a little bit unlucky. But yeah, you finished second on the ladder. It's been a really good home and away season, but bring on the finals now.
Yeah, it's where the hard stuff starts, so we're looking forward to it next weekend. Should be a good one.
And it'd be great to be back here at your home ground against the Hawks. The crowd will be pumping. It's a pretty exciting time of the year.
It is exciting, so it's good to get a home final, and really looking forward to next weekend.
And it was a complete performance tonight. It's a hard one, no doubt, to get up for, probably knowing that you've got St Kilda covered, one eye's on next week, but you still had to get the job done.
Yeah, look, I think we struggled there in the first half. We weren't really playing bringing out Brendan footy, and then we stepped up in the third, which was good to see, and we finished the game off strong. So, yeah, like I said, it was a really good game, and we always know it's going to be a battle against St Kilda, and looking forward to next weekend.
Really well done tonight. Good luck next week. Thanks, Josh.
Josh Kennedy, who did a really good job tonight. And as Lingy says, he will win the Coleman medal. There's absolutely no question about that, but he has bigger things on his mind. And Nick Natanui, Holmesy having a bit of a chat there. Let's go back to Cameron Ling.
I've got Andrew Gaff with me, BT. A very tired Andrew Gaff. You had the running shoes on tonight, but your own performance really good. Matty Priddis as well, a heap of the footy. The midfield just got the job done.
Yeah, they're all going pretty well as a midfield group at the moment, and the development in every single one of us is making us a better team. So we're a bit scrubby that first half, but to finish off in the second half is promising.
Yeah, it must be nice standing under Nick Natanui at the centre bounces and all the stoppages around the ground. He's just flying at the moment with his ruck work, but also taking hangers up forward too.
Oh, it's amazing, mate. We get goal service every week, and he's just such a great guy. Since he's come back for the last couple of weeks, he's probably been our best player the last 3 weeks. So we love him. He's a great player, and he's going to be big for us the next few weeks.
You guys have had a great season. You're going to be back here next week against Hawthorn. They had you measure last time you played here. Be confident you another shot at them?
Oh, we're good. I mean, they're a quality side, and to be the best, you've got to beat the best. So we know how good they are over several years, and we have to be our absolute best to beat them.
Appreciate your time, Gaffy. All the best, mate.
36 disposals for Andrew Gaff tonight, 14 kicks, 22 handballs. Well, a big win for the West Coast Eagles tonight. We have got plenty more to come. After the break, we will be announcing exclusively the finals draw. Simon Lethlean from the AFL will be with us to make that announcement. The timings, the venues and the days, and who's playing who will come next. A big win tonight for the West Coast Eagles though. 18-17, 125 to St Kilda, 4-6-30.
The West Coast Eagles 95-point winners tonight at Domain Stadium. In round 23, they secure second spot on the ladder, the first time ever for Fremantle Dockers, and the West Coast finished 1-2 in a season, and they set up a big tilt at the 2015 Premiership. 11 goals to 1 they kicked in the second half, and that man there on screen, Nick Natanui, was simply brilliant tonight, Richard.
Yeah, he was outstanding again, and what a great performance it was from the Eagles. Needed to win. They've won really, really well, powering away in that second half. The Saints were competitive early, really good tackle pressure, just couldn't get the scoreboard on. The Eagles ran away with that. Man Kennedy came into his own in the second half, but a really powerful performance, and they get that home final now against Hawthorn next Friday night. But this man here didn't have a goal at half-time, but he just works so hard, Das, that you know that eventually it's going to come. He keeps presenting. He always hits up at the football, leads up at the ball carrier, and if you keep doing that and your team's winning it in the midfield, you're going to get enough footy. And in the end, he finished off with a few goals, but it was an even spread again tonight for the Eagles in that forward 50.
He'll finish with 75 home and away goals for the season, and as Bristol said before, barring a Fred Fanning type performance from Jeremy Cameron tomorrow, is 14 goals behind. He wins the Coleman medal. Matt Priddis, having won the Brownlow last year, has backed up a year that statistically is better and has to be some sort of chance of going back-to-back in the Brownlow. And once again, it was just a standard Matt Priddis night tonight, winning a heap of the footy and just doing what he does best.
Just super consistent. Matt Priddis just does the same thing week after week, and his combination with Nick Nat around the clearances it's really good to watch live. They get some really clean, pure clearances like that one there, and that just releases other players into space, and that's what he does with his handballs. He makes other players better. He releases them into space, and look, he could win the Brownlow again. Absolutely.
They've got class everywhere, the West Coast Eagles, and we were here in round 19 when the Hawks beat them, but it was minus Nick Natanui, who we know spoke about the tragic passing of his mum. He missed a couple of weeks. Tonight, that's as good a form as I've seen him in recent times. He's got everything going at the moment, kicking goals. His centre bounce stuff is just exceptional, and some of his defensive pressure is as good as anyone in the game.
Have you ever seen a ruckman, Das, who can get after the ball at ground level like Nick Natanui?
No, there's no one in the game that's ever done anything like it, to be honest with you. You know, as you said tonight, it took just one mark.
Yeah.
We always just looked at that. That was the mark. Pretty good one. You've always wondered why he doesn't take 7 or 8 a game, and I still can't explain that. But
I think it's because he hunts the ball at ground level so well. I mean, he does that so well. Maybe we've got to give up on him taking a heap of marks around the ground. We know when he pushes forward, he can take the
big hanger and kick a goal.
So the Eagles have stayed out on the surface here at Domain Stadium for an extended time, paying tribute to their fans, which is a nice touch. Richard and I are in the rooms and they're just wandering in past us. And what a satisfying feeling it must be for them. A home final, they're guaranteed at least 2 home finals now, the West Coast Eagles, and they are in unbelievable shape and have to be a serious premiership contender. They're a massive chance to win it.
Look, you've got to feel pretty good. At the end of the home and away season, you have a deep breath now and realise that for 23 weeks you've toiled, you've secured that top 2 position on the ladder. You've got a home final here on Friday night now against Hawthorn. You've got to be excited about that.
They are excited, don't worry about that. Going to sing the song. Let's join the West Coast Eagles, who finished 2015 second on the ladder after home and away.
West Coast Eagles, and we're here to show you why. We're the big birds, kings of the big game. We're the Eagles, we're flying high.
Electric atmosphere down here inside the West Coast Eagles rooms. They are very excited and they will know now that they play Hawthorn in the first final. Let's go to Mark Stevens, who is with the head of scheduling at the AFL, Simon Lethlean, for the official first round of the finals.